Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in whatever geographical location you're located. Welcome again to the Movement Radio. This is the Movement Radio, your alternative radio station that is dedicated towards freedom, changing narrative and empowering minds of the Nigerian people in particular and Africans in general. The Movement Radio, medium for liberation of the African minds. Welcome to our studio and welcome to our show for today. Our show for today is titled Truth on Fire. We will be dabbling into several aspects of issues going on around Nigeria and in Africa, and we will be focusing on the areas of positive impact towards the liberation of the minds of our people and Nigerians in Africa. Before we go on, my name is Alaba Pereira, and we are running live on several mediums. We are running live on Facebook. We have the Movement Radio Facebook running live, and we have the Alaba Ferreira Facebook running live. We're running live on the two stations on YouTube, the Movement Radio on YouTube and the Manuel Ferreira on YouTube. Also, we are running live on Twitch, the Movement Radio on Twitch, and we are running live on 3X stations. Two are visual, while one is audio. It is that audio one that starts with the letter M, the Movement Radio, that you can join us to request a microphone to join in the discussions that we have. Today, our discussion is Truth on Fire, and we are ready to set it all ablaze. Welcome. So we're running three on X, one on Alaba Ferreira X, and the other one, the Movement Radio X, and then the audio one where you can join us for conversation, input, contributions on X. Also, we're running live on Instagram. On the Movement Radio on Instagram, or is it Alaba Ferreira on Instagram? I can't remember. But we're also running live on TikTok, the Movement Radio on TikTok. So be our guest, join us, contribute, and have your say in these issues we have. Truth on Fire is the topic we're going to be covering. It's going to cover various aspects. Welcome again to the show. The Nigerian election is eating up. A lot of madness have already started on X with people saying various crazy things, but we are here to focus on the positive. We want to liberate and empower the minds of the Africans and the Nigerians in particular. We are seeking a country where full citizenship strives, where justice strives, where freedom strives, where equity strives. That is our objective. Welcome. I have my colleagues here join on the studio. They're going to introduce themselves from Abuja, Nigeria, and from Lagos, Nigeria. Again, my name is Alaba Ferreira for the Movement Radio here in Chicago, covering our international areas, while Lagos and Abuja colleagues covers the Nigerian territory. We will be bringing you all this from all those social media that we highlighted: Instagram, X, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. So we are here on all stations running full banners, full engine, and welcome. We are moving towards freedom in the Movement Radio. We are changing narratives. We are empowering minds. We are the Movement Radio, movement for liberation of the African mind. I'm handing over the microphone now to Abdullahi Salisu from Abuja. Salisu, take over.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Studio time check here in Abuja is 12 minutes after 6. It's the calm and cold evening right here, and this is Movement Radio, the voice of liberation, where we come here every evening, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday, and Sunday, to make sure we talk about issues that will liberate the mind, will empower the mind, educate, and enlighten. And all this is for our own collective good. That's the Nigerian project. The Nigerian project, which will result at the end of the day, be creating a country that will be good for all of us, for our children and great grandchildren yet unborn. So we welcome you to Movement Radio. I remain Abdullah Salisu Aliyu. Today we are going to be going into different issues. Today we are not specific in one particular issue, but that's why we said truth and fire. So and we look forward for your contributions across all the social media platforms. YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, all round. We are firing on all fronts. So we expect your response, your comments, your opinion. So as the political season gets intense, so which we will get what we will get hard on our work because our own aspect is the truth and always getting the facts and giving it to you as it should be. Not campaigning for anybody. We are not partisan. Yeah, we are what? We are all for the truth. Because what we want to achieve at the end of the day is liberating the mind. So thank you, thank you. We look forward for a smooth ride. Back to Lagos.
Thank you very much indeed. It's 6:15 from Lagos, Nigeria. I remain yours truly from the Movement Radio branch in Nigeria, and we are here once again to indeed bring to you very educative, informative, and insightful materials for you to consume, knowing fully well that there's quite a number of junky news items out there. And we constitute a different platform to bring to you very wholesome contents. And our contents today, as usual, as not know as the role for Movement Radio. Say we go break them down for you for our Obodo Nigeria, as the language we all of us understand, break them down to you, and of course make it for understand. All of these things from every angle, all the news where they hear, all of the rumors where they hear. Now for Movement Radio, you go see the perspective, say, okay, now this kind of thing where they think we are nothing explain and well, this is where you get the real perspective to some of the things where they worry about or understand. So tell somebody to tell somebody. Say we don't Tandagidigba once again for today's episode. We don't sit down to analyze everything for you, to break them down for you, so that you go feel understand. When other channels, other medium, they blow big grammar for you. We too sabi blow big grammar, but we also sabi how we go take break them into pieces for you, make you for they confused. Make they don't go use grammar, take deceive you. All right. So we are here for you 100%. As I said, please use the share button, use the repost button, and let your neighbor know, make for day stingy. All right. Make you share the message for your compound people, for your yard people. Make them know, say we are up and direct. And of course, every platform where we stream this thing from, they replayable. And we also have replay broadcast, at intermittent time or now on our big grammar. Every day we say we no go day live. We go play them for you, make you for see the replay of waiting we do the previous day. So sit down, go grab kuli and akara and granite. Make you for enjoy this Obodo episode we will bring for you, where you go learn well on top. Passing the mic back to our producer in Chicago.
Oh. Everybody knows about, written by George Orwell, Animal Farm. We believe that our political discussion their premises are based on the African farm, from revolution to freedom, from freedom back to enslavement. And the Nigerian situation is going in full circles regarding the animal farm. One Nigerian liberator fighter, Nnamdi Kanu, once called Nigeria an animal farm. But some erudite or educated or wise people kind of agree, respectfully to disagree, that if Nigeria was a zoo, then the zookeepers would have been arrested and would have been charged for violating animal rights. So Nigeria is not really a zoo, because in a zoo you have order, you have cages. The lion don't mix with the goats, the snake don't mix with the lizard and all that. But Nigeria is such a, we can't even call it a jungle, because jungle in itself has its own order, but Nigeria has no order, no rule of law, nothing. It's just it's if somebody can explain that country to you and you understand, then you must be totally insane. That's the saying we like to go by. So we want to share with you this perspective on the novel written by George Orwell, and then put it in context. We're going to do this twice. First, we just let the video play so you can listen to it. Then we're going to play it the second time, and then we're going to be pausing it in between to ask you one question. When they're talking about a specific character in that situation, who are the people in Nigeria that fits that character? That's what we want you to be able to tell us. If you don't give us an answer, we'll come up with our own answers. But it will be better if you give us some answers and make it interactive. So like we said, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on Twitch, we're on TikTok. We're everywhere where we want to educate, inform, enlighten, and help free the mind. The biggest weapon the oppressors have against the oppressed is their mind. And our minds have been captured in Nigeria. Nigeria is a country that has been struggling a lot, but the struggle is being mischaracterized as a pro-democracy one. It is not a pro-democracy struggle. The struggle is a struggle for liberation, whereby the liberation is waiting for people who are conscious, who are awake, who are not in a state of coma, who can reason, who have critical thinking faculties. Most of our colleagues don't. If you check what they're talking about on X and on YouTube, they just don't have that. Anyway, it's a struggle awaiting the conscious, and the saddest part about our condition is that Nigeria has been captured by a most rapacious class of evil men, of satanic men, of devilish men, I don't even have words to describe the level of evil that goes on in that country that we call governance. So that's what we are fighting against. We have only 3 problems according to us. Nigeria's problem can be summed up to 1: collective silence. The movement radio is here to break that collective silence. And what is collective silence? You see evil, you don't talk. You see evil, you normalize it. You see evil, you justify it. You're part of that collective silence. Or you know that something is evil, but you are afraid to let the world know that that is evil. You are part of that evil. Or you are an enemy within, those who are the minions of this evil, those who defend it, protect it, support it for one reason or the other. The reason is usually they are benefiting, or they think they will benefit, or they hope they will benefit, or they are just plain ignorant. Those who support parties' loyalties more than their own family or personal interests. I've never seen anything like that. They support a party more than an Arsenal fan or a football fan or a basketball fan supports their team. It's like they support their party and they defy logic in their support. Like if anybody tells you he's a member of the APC, that person just lost their thinking faculty. And several of the other political parties, PDP and all the other alphabets that exhibit themselves. Because we are not practicing democracy, we are practicing kakitocracy, whereby thieves are stealing everything they can steal from the country, destroying their own country, and running to another man's country to seek salvation there, or begging another man to come help them as if they are little children. So we have the enemies within. Those ones are the largest among them, very large number. Some are even enemies. They don't know they are enemies. They come on here, on X, on YouTube, on Instagram, speak big English, big grammar, confuse issues, instead of them to be the light that educates the masses that the direction we are going is not the right direction, so we can redirect our people and our people can be free. They are the ones, the educated ones, the miseducated ones. Right. Is that Rodney? I don't remember the author who wrote the book on miseducation. This man talks too much. I better stop talking so that the book can start on the pidgin version. Yeah, we just don't do English here. We do the pidgin. Pidgin is a broken English speaking by most Nigerians. We try to break it down to the simplest language so that people in our country can understand. And the last group of enemies we have are the big man. Those are your politicians. Those are the one running a country the same way the whites ran apartheid, the same way the whites ran segregation, the same way the whites ran slavery. Those are the big men because they are big men. They run the system and they've done so much damage to the system. It's beyond words. So we will share some articles with you down the line, but first we're going to start with videos. And here's our first video. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate you joining. I've seen a lot of people join us already on TikTok. I've seen some people join us on X. I've seen some people join us on Instagram. So we just give a few shout out before we start our video. To Dubuson, sorry if I damage your name. Ayola Falsas, thank you. Kike Lomo, we thank you. And then Sunshine, we thank you for joining us. Big Sean, we thank you. James, we thank you. Jacqueline Brown, Radnif, Rafaline, Stan Blue, Anuja, Charity, Mama, Rocky, Twin One, New York City, Flood Week, Atolis, Kompachaka. Sorry if I damage your name, I totally apologize. Zodi, Toyo, PL, Nadoye, Pingo, Tails. You always warn me that this reading the names on this TikTok is not going to work because there are too many people there that I kind of keep. Okay. That's quite a lot of people there. But thank you all for joining us. Sorry I can't see your names on YouTube and Facebook, but thank you all the same for joining us. So let's share this video with you and then we'll get the program started. Thank you.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our literature classroom. Today, we are going to explore one of the most famous political novels ever written, Animal Farm by George Orwell. Now, whenever students hear the title Animal Farm, they usually think of a simple question: which animal represents which historical figure? And certainly, that is important. Napoleon represents Stalin, Snowball represents Trotsky, and Old Major represents Marx and Lenin. But as students of literature, we must always go beyond the surface. If that were all Orwell intended, Animal Farm would simply be a political textbook disguised as a story. Instead, Orwell creates something much more powerful. He shows us how revolutions begin with hope, how power gradually corrupts leaders, how language can be manipulated, and how ordinary people can become victims of the very systems they help create. Therefore, in today's lecture, we shall study Animal Farm not only as an allegory of the Russian Revolution, but also as a profound warning about power, propaganda, and totalitarianism. Before we discuss the characters, we must first understand an important literary term: allegory. An allegory is a story in which characters, events, and settings represent deeper meanings beyond their literal existence. In an allegory, every major element symbolizes something else. For example, the farm represents Soviet Russia. The animals represent different social classes and political groups. And the revolution represents the Russian Revolution of 1917. Therefore, when we read Animal Farm, we are actually reading two stories simultaneously. The first story is about animals living on a farm. The second story is about political events that shaped 20th century history. These two layers exist together throughout the novel. Let us begin with the character who starts everything: Old Major. Old Major represents a combination of two important historical figures, Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin. As you may remember, Old Major gathers all the animals together and delivers a passionate speech. In this speech, he argues that humans exploit animals. The animals work hard. The animals produce food. The animals create wealth. Yet humans enjoy all the benefits. This argument closely resembles Marx's criticism of capitalism. According to Marx, workers create wealth, but the ruling class enjoys the profits. Now, here is something important to notice. Old Major's ideas sound noble and inspiring. He dreams of equality, freedom, and justice. But Orwell deliberately makes him die before the revolution takes place. Why? Because Orwell wants us to see the difference between political theory and political reality. Ideas may be beautiful. Implementing those ideas is much more difficult. This is one of the central themes of the novel. Next, we have Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones represents Nicholas II, the last Tsar of Russia. Notice how Orwell presents him. He is careless, he is irresponsible. He neglects his duties. As a result, the animals become frustrated and eventually rebel. Historically, the same thing happened in Russia. The Tsar's government became increasingly ineffective. Economic problems worsened. Public displeasure increased. Eventually, revolution became inevitable. This teaches us an important political lesson. Most revolutions occur not simply because people want change. They occur because existing governments lose their legitimacy and authority. Now we arrive at the most important conflict in the novel, the struggle between Napoleon and Snowball. Snowball represents Leon Trotsky, while Napoleon represents Joseph Stalin. As readers, we immediately notice their different personalities. Snowball is intelligent, energetic, and enjoys debate. He develops plans to improve the farm. Napoleon, on the other hand, is quiet and calculating. He rarely speaks. Instead, he focuses on gaining power. Students often assume that intelligence automatically leads to success. Orwell challenges this assumption. Snowball may be more intelligent. He may have better ideas. But Napoleon understands something more important. He understands power. While Snowball spends his time making speeches, Napoleon works quietly behind the scenes. Napoleon secretly trains the puppies. Those puppies later become his private army. When Napoleon uses the dogs to drive Snowball away, Orwell is symbolizing Stalin's removal of Trotsky from Soviet politics. However, notice something fascinating. After expelling Snowball, Napoleon adopts many of Snowball's ideas. For example, he eventually supports the windmill project. This shows us that Napoleon was never truly opposed to the idea itself. He simply wanted complete control. And this is one of Orwell's most profound observations about politics. Sometimes political conflicts are less about ideas and more about power. Now, let us turn our attention to one of the most dangerous characters in the novel, Squealer. Squealer represents propaganda and state-controlled media. If Napoleon controls the government, Squealer controls public opinion. Throughout the novel, whenever Napoleon makes a controversial decision, Squealer appears to explain why it is actually beneficial. At first, the lies seem small. The pigs need extra milk. The pigs need extra apples. The pigs deserve special treatment. Gradually, the lies become larger and larger. Eventually, Squealer begins rewriting history itself. This is extremely important. Totalitarian governments do not merely control the present. They often attempt to control the past. For example, Snowball's heroic actions during the Battle of the Cowshed are later erased and replaced with false stories. Similarly, the 7 commandments are secretly altered. Consider this famous example. Originally, the commandment states, "No animal shall kill any other animal." Later, it becomes, "No animal shall kill any other animal without cause." Just 2 extra words completely transform the meaning. Orwell wants us to understand that language is power. Whoever controls language often controls reality. Now let us discuss my favorite character in the novel, Boxer. Boxer represents the hardworking working class. He is physically strong. He is honest. He is loyal. And unfortunately, he is too trusting. His first famous motto is, "I will work harder." And his second motto is, "Napoleon is always right." At first glance, these seem admirable. Hard work is usually a positive quality. Loyalty is usually a positive quality. However, Orwell demonstrates that even virtues can become dangerous when they are not balanced with critical thinking. Boxer never questions authority. He never challenges propaganda. He never examines whether Napoleon deserves his loyalty. As a result, he becomes easy to exploit. The most heartbreaking moment in the novel occurs when Boxer becomes old and weak. After years of service, he expects care and support. Instead, Napoleon sells him to the knacker. The horse who built the farm is discarded once he is no longer useful. This scene reveals Orwell's devastating criticism of totalitarian systems. Let us now consider the dogs. The dogs represent Stalin's secret police. Historically, they symbolize organizations that enforced obedience through fear and violence. Notice what happens after the dogs gain power. Debates disappear. Opposition disappears. Criticism becomes dangerous. Fear replaces discussion. This is a hallmark of totalitarianism. In democratic societies, leaders persuade. In totalitarian societies, leaders intimidate. Orwell shows us how quickly freedom can vanish once fear becomes a political tool. Now we come to the final chapter. And here Orwell delivers his most powerful message. As the story ends, the pigs begin walking on two legs. They wear human clothes. They drink alcohol. They socialize with human farmers. In other words, they become exactly what they once opposed. The revolution promised equality. The revolution promised freedom. The revolution promised justice. Yet the new rulers become indistinguishable from the old rulers. This idea reaches its climax in one of the most famous lines in world literature. As literature students, we should recognize that this statement is logically impossible. No one can be more equal. The sentence deliberately violates logic. Yet it perfectly captures the hypocrisy of authoritarian regimes. They continue to speak the language of equality while practicing inequality. Through this final transformation, Orwell warns us that revolutions can fail when power becomes more important than principles. So, class, what is the ultimate lesson of Animal Farm? Is it simply a story about Soviet Russia? No, it is much more than that. It is a story about the corruption of power. It is a story about propaganda. It is a story about the manipulation of language. It is a story about the dangers of blind loyalty. Most importantly, it is a story about how revolutions can betray their original ideals. Orwell reminds us that freedom requires vigilance. Citizens must question authority. They must examine political language critically. They must remember history accurately. Because whenever people stop thinking critically, whenever propaganda replaces truth, and whenever power becomes concentrated in the hands of a few, the same pattern begins again. The pigs move into the farmhouse. The slogans remain. The promises remain. But freedom slowly disappears. And that is why Animal Farm remains one of the most important political allegories ever written. Thank you for joining me in today's lecture. If you found this analysis helpful, do share it with fellow literature students, and I look forward to seeing you in our next lecture on another great work of literature.
Okay, before we do it the second time now we'll play for each character it talks about. We want to find the Nigerian version of those characters. Do you think we can do this? We want to, translate that story.
Absolutely, we can do it.
Yeah, so if you're out there and you're listening to us and you want to join this conversation, please feel free to type your comment or pick up a microphone on X and join us. We want to take each character one by one from the beginning and say, what is the Nigerian version of these and where we are? And I want us to, if we are picking characters, let's take it as far back as we can, from 1914, 1960, not just current characters. Well, both current are good, but we want our people to have clear understanding of what a storyline is. Majority of our percent may not, or 95%. And for those who can engage us in this, will probably be less than 4 or 5% in terms of the 200 million population that we have. But either way, let us start. Before we start, comment from my colleagues on the studio regarding this Animal Farm presentation. Ibukun, you want to go first? Your comment before we
start. Yes, this Animal Farm. Now literature will be saying a book where they very, very very important. We describe the games where they happen for society, between the strong and the weak, and different classes of society, different category of people for society, and the roles that they can play. All right, I call it power play, really. So that book, now between they call allegory. Maybe say they talk about they talk about animals, but the real meaning of it has more, more meaning than just the animal. It translates to some things in real life. And we go break them down for you, all right? We go give you example of it in our society in Nigeria. Come, and you can also, at the comment section, give examples and, participate with us as we are breaking it down in the studio here. So just like the story for inside Bible, maybe say some of the stories is, they call them allegory, maybe say animals, but it have a more impact, as all of the story where Jesus they talk about for inside Bible now. Maybe say you go talk about animals, you talk about things, but the meaning of it is beyond those animals or things that he's talking about. So we will do a bit of those today in our broadcast. So come with us. Passing the mic to you in Abuja.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. And actually, to anybody that knows the Animal Farm, when you read the book is quite interesting and it depicts a lot of characters that when you look, even if we didn't go history land, anybody that is up to 20 or up to like, let's say 25 in Nigeria should be able to at least pinpoint some individuals, some institutions that are clearly described by all these characters in the Animal Farm. As it is said, it is an allegory which animals are used to represent human characters. And actually, Orwell did a very good and wonderful job, and it's clearly depicting because the situation, the way he picked, he described a situation far away from Nigeria. But when you look at it, you look at it as if he is describing a situation in Nigeria. It does to tell you that politics and governance is global. It's not just in a Nigeria or a particular environment issue. It's depicted every part of the world. It's just only the part that have liberated themselves to get to. And he cautioned us a lot about even the liberation or the revolutionary movement. That along the line, you might have a beautiful or bright idea, but along the line you might deviate and lose your track and then start doing something and then he cautioned the followers on knowing, okay, if you are moving or you believe in this person, always question the person. Don't just be blindly following, because blind following is what leads to where at the end of the day they don't know that the person they are following is all after power. So it's a lot of things Nigerians should be able to understand, more especially when we are in the political season. Some people might sing a lot of things, and then also in relations to political thoughts or political opponents, saying this, saying that, saying this, be cautious. At the end of the day, it might just be all for power, not for the liberation of the people. So you have to be very careful, very, very careful. If you have time, you can go and still revisit. Though we are going to help you with that for some of us that will not have time to go and read. Here in the studio, we are going to help you digest it and give you some clear examples as what is happening currently, though we might not directly sometimes call names, but we might pinpoint, we might describe in a very good way for you to be able to understand those characters and then their dangers in the current society that we are living. Let's continue. Sorry, my network tripped a little. So we can continue with our movie Radio Chicago.
Okay, Salis, thank you for that, Abdullah. But I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. As we play it by beats again, if we know names, we are going to mention names. If we're going to make our allegory compare, if we know names, unless we don't know. But if we know names from 1914 to the present, or from the time the white man came to our shores, to the present, the 1960 to everything, 60, 70, 80, 90, we would name names. That's the only way we can make the story be more practical to our people so they can start to see. And whenever they read the book, they can now see, oh, this person has this character. Oh, or whenever they tell their children to read the book, so we know it is better we know
Yes,
what
I
our
think to
problems
me,
are.
like maybe pointing at the office and the
Oh,
institutions,
okay.
that
Yeah,
will
yeah, yeah.
clearly tell you who is occupying the seat and what is they doing.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our literature classroom. Today, we are going to explore one of the most famous political novels ever written, Animal Farm by George Orwell. Now, whenever students hear the title Animal Farm, they usually think of a simple question: which animal represents which historical figure? Which historical figure? And certainly, that is important. Napoleon represents Stalin, Snowball represents Trotsky, and Old Major represents Marx and Lenin. But as students of literature, we must always go beyond the surface. If that were all Orwell intended, Animal Farm would simply be a political textbook disguised as a story. Instead, Orwell creates something much more powerful. He shows us how revolutions begin with hope, how power gradually corrupts leaders, how language can be manipulated, and how ordinary people can become victims of the very systems they help create. Therefore, in today's lecture, we shall study Animal Farm not only as an allegory of the Russian Revolution, but also as a profound warning about power, propaganda, and totalitarianism. Before we Hello, everyone, and welcome back to. Let's first understand an important literary term: allegory. An allegory is a story in which characters, events, and settings represent deeper meanings beyond their literal existence. In an allegory, every major element symbolizes something else. For example, the farm represents Soviet Russia. The animals represent different social classes and political groups.
Nigeria. The animals will be our people, of course, and whoever we have contact with. Let's go on. Abdullahi and Bukun, anybody disagree on that before we go on?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
No, no, that's
Hello, everyone,
our,
and
that's
welcome back to
Nigeria
our
is
literature.
our own.
Nigeria is the land, right? Because we want to take
Yes,
people
it's
along
the
as
land,
well.
and yes,
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our literal existence. In an allegory, every major element symbolizes something else. For example, the farm represents Soviet Russia. The animals represent different social classes and political groups. And the revolution represents the Russian Revolution of 1917. Therefore, when we read Animal Farm, we are actually reading two stories simultaneously. The first story is
You guys consider the revolution our independence, or we've not had our revolution yet?
We have not had our revolution.
Yet. So what would you now, in relation to this story of the animal farm, what would you now call our independence? What would our independence have not factored in yet? I
It
would
has not
say
been
that.
factored in. We can't factor
Yeah.
that in yet.
Okay, so we've not really.
But it
But
seems as
that
though
might be.
you are starting from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Go on, Nipukun.
You operating the tab. It seems as though
Yeah.
you usually start from the beginning every single time instead of
Yeah,
pausing it.
because I don't know how to pause it. I can't. I tried.
Wow.
Hold on. Maybe if it were on YouTube, I could pause it. Let me see. Let me see if I can get it on YouTube. Maybe it would be easier. Yeah, but so you are saying that we have not had a revolution yet, but can our independence be partial revolution?
Because
We're going to face it from a
our
questionary
independence
perspective.
was not a revolution. It was negotiated for.
Okay. So
So
because
we don't want
I
to be
want to
guilty
call,
of
Ibukun, I want to call Mr. Jones the farm owner, the colonial masters. What do you think, Abdullahi? Would that be wrong? The colonial masters, Are they not the Mr. Jones, the farm owner, the man who owns the farm at the initial stage? What does Abdullahi think about that? We could debate this thing. It should be back and forth. Let's make it interactive.
Yes, let's make it interactive. Sorry. I think we can Nigeria, I think to me also, we just had partial revolution because revolution, I think in true sense of it, we don't have it yet. Because even as of independent, if you look at not only in Nigeria, across Africa, because even the words of our past heroes actually depict that we are not yet we are don't get revolution. We just like get partial freedom. So we have to move towards our own actual revolution, and which we didn't get it yet.
So who is Mr. Jones? None of you have answered that question in this storyline. I mean, who is it? Is it the British Empire for the Nigerian contest? The architecture of who is Mr. Jones? We got to think. We want to compare.
Yes, I think the British Empire is the owner of Nigeria.
The context of Animal Farm. Okay, I found it. I found it on YouTube.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, good. Okay, I found it on YouTube. Good. I'm gonna go share it on YouTube. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna move on from. So we agree that for the sake of today's story, Mr. Jones would be the British, right?
Yes, they are, because
We are actually
they
reading
are the
two
ones in
stories
control.
simultaneously.
Okay. Okay. So our argument is that we have like partial independence, right? Partial revolution.
Yes.
Okay, let's go back to the story. I'll be pausing it as we get along, okay? So that we can ask those questions and get some answers. Please, if you're listening to us and you want to contribute, please shoot out your question on the comment section and we'll be able to discuss it. We don't have a monopoly of information here. Okay.
Before we discuss the characters, we must first understand an important literary term. Revolution represents the Russian Revolution of 1917. Therefore, when we read Animal Farm, we are actually reading animals living on a farm. The second story is about political events that shaped 20th century history. These two layers exist together throughout the novel. Let us begin with the character who starts everything, Old Major.
So who is our own Old Major? Do we have an Old Major? Are those the Awolowo, the Saudana? Or you won't even give them the title of Old Major? Ibukun, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I believe those characters, we can name them the old majors, really.
But they were not visionary enough as the real Old Major in this case. I don't know. Do you agree? Let's make a discussion.
They've got vision. Some school of thought will believe that they've got visions, you know.
I think some of them are, while some not, and I think sorry.
Salisu, okay, yeah, please proceed, Mr.
Yes,
Abdullahi.
my network is just tripping. The Old Major, I think, to me. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, I said all those nationalists, I don't regard them as the Old Majors, because if you look at it in the real sense, even them, they are not. Maybe to me, I might think that even the Old Majors are not yet present in our society. because most of them, what they went, they go there, even them, they don't know what they are taking, what they are.
Yeah, Abdullah, I agree with you. I don't think we have old majors yet in the full contest. You know, some would argue that maybe Awolowo comes close, or Azikiwe come close, or Tafawa Balewa come close, but I don't know. They didn't have that. They were. It looks like they were not fully prepped. They were prepped by the British to have more of a British way of thinking, not the Pan-Africanist way of thinking. Am I right on that? I don't want to damage
Yes,
historical
you
figures'
are
name.
absolutely right. Because if you look at them, because if you look at them, most of them are being trained by the British.
So they think more of the British ways. That was why most of the 60s went so wrong, because everything that happened to us in the 60s was British directed. From the first coup, second coup, well, from the first coup, second coup to the Civil War, there was the input of the British embassy in it that, you know, that really messed us up. So they were thinking in line with the way the British were thinking, not the way a real African or a Pan-Africanist or a real Nigerian should be thinking. You understand? It's like
Yes.
they look like the dogs the British bred for their own purpose. Ibukun, what do you think?
Yes, that's why
I
I
want
said
us to
that
have this
even them, they don't
intellectual
know what
debate.
they are collecting.
I think you are right. Yes, I agree with you. Movement
So
Radio.
we've never really had an old major, to be honest, the dreamer of a revolution to take a. Yeah, that's funny though. Anyway, let's continue.
That is like a tragedy.
But that's our own conclusion. If anybody is out there that disagree with us, please grab the mic or make
Yes,
your
that's why.
comment.
Sorry, I think across Africa we just have few of them.
Okay, across good. Let's talk across Africa. That's good. Who would I would say
But in
Lunumba.
Nigeria,
I would say
yes,
across
the likes of
Africa.
Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah.
Lunumba, Thomas Sankara. Sankara would be an old
Yes,
major. Who else? Who else we got across Africa? Well, somebody with a revolutionary mind, a Pan-African mind. You mean Kwame Nkrumah?
Yeah, Kwame Nkrumah also is but there's an individual called Kwame also. They call it. It's also called Topical Michael.
Okay. So though at least we have a few old major in Africa, but they were quickly killed off by either the CIA or the British or the French. Any old major we had among us.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can Steve Biko also?
Yes, Steve Biko. I almost missed Steve Biko's name. That's true. Steve Biko definitely was an old major. You're right. So we have Steve Biko, we have Thomas Sankara, we have who else? We have what about that guy that was killed by the Obama administration? Gaddafi, is he an old major?
Yeah, we could he's a visionary, yes.
He's a visionary.
That threatened the empire really.
So most of our old majors were quickly eliminated before the seed would grow, like Bob Marley said. Across
That's
Africa.
crazy.
yes.
That
But
is
if
crazy.
any of our audience have any contrary view, can join.
Who? Did you say somebody has a contrary view?
I said, if any of our audience have any contrary view regarding what we just said,
Yes,
they can just
they
chip
can.
in by commenting or picking up the mic.
Okay, yeah. If anybody's out there that disagree with what we are saying, we couldn't find an old major character in Nigeria, but we found one outside Nigeria within the African context. We believe Thomas Sankara is one, Patrick Lumumba is one, Kwame Ture is one, Kwame Nkrumah is one, and Muammar Gaddafi is one. I can't think of any other ones. Most African leaders have been nothing but major failures. They were mostly designed in the thinking of the British, of the white man. They were the colonialists. Let me not say white man. Let's not race bait here. Okay, that sounds good. Let's move on. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on with the video. Oh, my TikTok just went off. My phone ran out of juice. It's okay. gonna plug it in again. Yeah. So continue. Let's continue. Let's see. Charge. Put this one in and keep it charging. Okay, let's continue. I'll be pausing it for the next guy. Okay, play.
Old Major represents a combination of two important historical figures, Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin. As you may remember, Old Major gathers all the animals together and delivers a passionate speech. In this speech, he argues that humans exploit animals. The animals work hard. The animals produce food. The animals create wealth. Yet humans enjoy all the benefits. This argument closely resembles Marx's criticism of capitalism. According to Marx, workers create wealth, but the ruling class enjoys the profits. Now, here is something important to notice. Old Major's ideas sound noble and inspiring. He dreams of equality, freedom, and justice. But Orwell deliberately makes him die before the revolution takes place.
Why? Because Orwell wants us to see the difference between political theory and political reality. Ideas may be beautiful. Implementing those ideas is much more difficult. This is one of the central themes of the novel.
Next, we have Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones represents Nicholas II, the last Tsar of Russia.
Did you guys hear me on that one?
That is
Huh?
great.
Yeah, all the color, whether the British Empire, the French,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Okay, let's go.
Colonial government and military dictatorship.
And military dictatorship. Okay, good. Let's continue.
Notice how Orwell presents him. He is careless. He is irresponsible. He neglects his duties. As a result, the animals become frustrated and eventually rebel. Historically, the same thing happened in Russia. The Tsar's government became increasingly ineffective. Economic problems worsened. Public displeasure increased. Eventually, revolution became inevitable.
Hold on, guys. I was saying that in the Nigerian context, would you say Nigeria have we ever rebelled, or we're still waiting for that day?
Well, at the scale that is needed, we have not. There have been quite a number of uprisings, but not at the scale of revolution.
It might not be a full revolution, but do we even have a partial rebel against the status quo,
Yes,
the order of things
yes.
from the British?
We have the
When and where?
the Egba women riot in
Oh,
Abuja.
the Egba
That
women
ousted the
led-
king there.
The ousted the king, led by Miss Fumilayo Ransom Kuti,
From
correct?
Kuti, yes, absolutely.
Abdullahi, your contribution on that one. Have we ever had a rebel, whether full or partial?
Revolution. I think to me, I said yes, we can say that we have some partial revolution, but along the line, it was like hijacked. It was hijacked by by the state,
Which one
because
do you have in
if you look
which
at,
one do you have in mind, Abdullahi? Which rebellion have we
to
had?
me, I think even the civil war in Nigeria, I take it to be like a revolution, because what was happening then, it was some kind of injustice. So trying to get out of that injustice, or trying to get justice, I think to me is a revolution, because revolution, most of the times what results to revolution is as a result of too much injustice in the system. So it's just that along the line it was tilted towards different direction, but it's a revolution to me. That's why I said it's a partial or an element of revolution playing itself, but along the line it lose its purpose.
Yeah, I want to add that. I think also that we've had a few partial. We'll name the Egba riot led by Miss Fumilayo Ransom Kuti. I would say the first coup, 1966 coup, was a partial, but that one too was hijacked. You know, overtake, don't overtake,
Yes,
overtake. I would
because
say the
even
Civil
that,
War.
sorry,
Go on, go on.
even that's why even the 1966 they name it a revolution. I take it, but the reason why one will not say that is a revolution because immediately after the coup, some things started playing out that is not actually a revolution. So we have some semblance of revolution in Nigeria, but all of them are, we can't just rate it as something very tangible.
Yeah. Would you consider the Maurice Alap coup a partial one? Because I was going to leave that alone and go straight to the NSAS. I think NSAS was no, was it the June 12th? I don't know. Was there anything in recent time that looks like a, we know we don't have a full one, but a partial that was hijacked or misdirected? Did we have any?
Yes, I think to me the June 12th, 1993 election is a revolution because then if you look at the system, almost the entire country is like aggrieved that they want something different from the existing status quo. So, but along the line, it was also hijacked. Had it been the 1993 election succeeded and a government is formed, so then that time the unification of the people and that at that time because the people there are what are conscious people. That's why even when the annulment came, some people still continue fighting till we get to where we are in 1999.
What about the driving away the military to the barrack? Would that be considered partial, or that was just a deception on stage? The 1999, what do you call it? This current democratic process. I think it's a deception on stage. I don't think it even qualifies to be called anything partial. I think they just changed uniform from khaki to
At that
agbada.
time, the intention was what to change the system. But the people that hijacked, that's why we say it was hijacked by the current people that are what ruling the country.
What do you think?
I think by and large we are right. I
Still
think
nobody in our. Go on, Ibukun. Sorry about that.
yes,
My
I would
fault.
I agree with what has been said so far. Yes, and from our S platform, there is no request so far so good. My house is on
Okay.
it very
Okay,
carefully.
good. Okay, good. Let's continue. Okay, let's continue with the video and then we'll see. I'll be pausing it to bring out the discussional points in each one. Okay.
This teaches us an important political lesson. Most revolutions occur not simply because people want change. They occur because existing governments lose their legitimacy and authority. Now we arrive at the most important conflict in the novel, the struggle between Napoleon and Snowball. Snowball represents Leon Trotsky, while Napoleon represents Joseph Stalin. As readers, we immediately notice their different personalities. Snowball is intelligent, energetic, and enjoys debate. He develops plans to improve the farm. Napoleon, on the other hand, is quiet and calculating. He rarely speaks. Instead, he focuses on gaining power. Students often assume that intelligence.
So, do we have a snowball in the Nigerian community since history started? And do we have a Napoleon? I know we have Napoleon. I know Babangida is a Napoleon. That I know for sure. I know about that I know for sure.
And Eziogu, Kaduna Eziogu.
Yeah, okay. Kaduna Eziogu might be snowball, but I know Babangida is okay. And then I don't know about Abacha, but okay. Do we have these characters from? Okay, what would you call Obasanjo? Obasanjo is a Napoleon too.
The Napoleon too, yes.
Okay, let's name names now from 1960 to present. Do we have a snowball and a Napoleon in the Nigerian context, guys? I like this conversation. It's kind of good. We're breaking down history as well.
Where do we categorize the likes of Awolowo?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, Abdullah, you want to answer that? How would you classify Awolowo?
And Nnamdi Azikiwe and Ahmadu Bello.
I think we already answered that question earlier when we
Yes,
said they were not.
then we have already put them where they are.
Where they are, they said they were not revolutionary. They had the mind frame of the
Yes, they're like the reformer. Yes.
Yeah, they didn't have a revolutionary mind. They were trained to take over from the colonialists, and they were not fully pan-Africanist like we would expect them to be. I think we already answered that question. Okay, name some other characters that have ruled us that we could classify as or attempted to rule us that we could classify as Napoleon and Snowball. I know Babangida is not that one for sure. Who else we got? What about Bacha? Should we go down the list from beginning to the end? Or there's no need?
Yes,
we just classify all of them as Napoleon.
There is no need for that. By their character and their delivery, you can actually say where they are, because if you look at it in the real sense, most of them at the end of the day, when they get power, they become who they are truly. So you can all say that they are what most of them are Napoleons in a real sense. So I think the snowballs are the ones that are like really to find. Though some maybe we can say some of the people that make the attempt, like the MKO and the rest, you might say they have brilliant idea, they have all the things that we need, but along the line, the Napoleons take it over because they are always smart and calculative. Because smart not as say that intelligence, no, but they are what? They are very calculative. They know when to strike and when to pick it.
They're very corny. I would say for historical purpose of young people listening to us, Nigerian young people who don't have strong sense of history, and because history has been taken, I think we should start from 1960 and just name, okay, this leader that took over from this Napoleon, just for historical. I think we should start. You know, what's that Penguin song? Azikiwe Loton, Obalewa Loton. I think we should do that rundown till present and just tag them either Napoleon or Snowball. Most of them are Napoleon anyway. Let's start with who's the first? Who was the first? Was it Azikiwe or Balewa? Who was the first?
Yes, Balewa was the president, was the prime minister. Then Azikiwe is the ceremonial president.
Let's do it like the way Napoleon, partial Napoleon, because they weren't that bad people. I know Balewa wasn't a bad person. Partial Napoleon. Or time never let us know. They didn't stay long enough for us to know. I don't know.
Yes, most of them didn't stay long. So we can say partial Napoleon.
Partial Napoleon. Then let's go to who's next after them. Unrosi. Unrosi.
Yes.
Partial Napoleon, right? For Unrosi. Go on. I would say full Napoleon. I might be wrong. Yes,
because he has all the time.
He has all the time, yeah. Muritala.
You can say that one also a partial Napoleon because he stay only 6 months.
6 months, yeah. Obasanjo, full Napoleon.
Yes.
Who came after Obasanjo? Shagari.
Shagari as a civilian president.
Partial Napoleon.
Yes.
But then comes Buhari, full Napoleon. Buhari, definitely full Napoleon. Babangida, those are soldiers of fortune. All those boys are nothing but soldiers of fortune. I don't think they even have any zeal of patriotism in them at all to even be soldiers.
Because coup after coup, but nothing changed.
Ain't nothing national about their purpose. It's just personal, just for them to go make money, and everyone else can go to hell. Okay, we got it up to Babangi, up to Buhari the first time. Who came after Buhari? Anybody remind me?
Babangida.
Okay, Babangida after Buhari.
It
That's
has
full
yes,
Napoleon.
took over Buhari. Then a
Okay.
temporal transition government of Jonathan, then Abacha picks it up.
Uh, who's next
Abacha took it up
after?
after Babangida
Oh, Abacha full
because
Napoleon. Okay.
then we come into then to the
Who's
transition of the 1999
yes? Who followed Abacha?
where Obasanjo come back.
Leon, that man had twice, two chances to fix things, just messed up. Who called him after? Is that Good Luck, or there was somebody else
Yeah,
before
yes,
Good
that's
Luck?
Yaradua and Goodluck Senior after
Okay,
Obasanjo.
partial. I would say Yaradua partial. Yaradua was
Yes,
a good one.
actually, yes, we can say that it's a partial Napoleon role
Good Luck Jonathan, full Napoleon. I don't care what his supporters say. Good Luck Jonathan is
because
full
you have
Napoleon.
6 years to fix things, but it didn't work. Then
Doing
Buhari
now.
again.
Forget his historical thing. Look at what he's doing now. Then Buhari again. What do we have? Full Napoleon. Oh, that's sad.
Then
And
to the present administration.
wow, that one is even worse than full Napoleon. Full Napoleon, CIA agent, everything you can go. Got that one. Milokan. Okay, I think we go on through the list. We can go on now. It's always good
Yes.
to talk about this thing. You never know who's listening. The young people might be listening. Most of them don't have a sense of history, and one needs to educate them. And then Nigeria has an habit of rewriting history. I don't know if you all been noticing that happening lately.
Yes, you know, when you look at all the that's the biographies of the former head of state, and you look at it, and from the reality that happened, you see a lot of things, contradictions. Because I think that's why I'm afraid what the next generation are going to get in relation to our history.
Because they are rewriting history. The things we saw happen, they are telling us it didn't happen. Very soon they will tell us the Civil War never happened. You know, they're just rewriting history, trying to deodorize the pig, make themselves historical, create themselves in a new light of what they are not. You know, from Obasanjo's book to my command, to Babangida's book, to Gowon's book, none of them really, they're trying to rewrite history as if we never witnessed history. That's the game they're playing. You know, they're evil and bad, but they're trying to present themselves as good. What do you think, Ibukun?
Yes, that is exactly what they will try to do. They wouldn't want the future generation to see them in negative light, so they try as much as possible to sanitize and whitewash the history a little bit. It's the reason why the fact that they even attempted, not attempted, they suspended the teaching of history in our schools, and the one that they have right now is even a more sanitized version of it. So it is quite deliberate, in my view.
Okay, let's continue.
Even if you want to be fair,
yeah,
you are not supposed to write your history by yourself. Allow the history to say it by itself.
That not in Nigeria. Nigerians, they write history by themselves and change it. Obasanjo wrote my command. He didn't include that when the car
you are
struck,
the
he
judge in
was
your own
hiding.
case.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go on with the video so we can see. Where are we? Where's the video? Let me press play.
Automatically leads to success. Orwell challenges this assumption. Snowball may be more intelligent. He may have better ideas. But Napoleon understands something more important. He understands power. While Snowball spends his time making speeches, Napoleon works quietly behind the scenes. Napoleon secretly trains the puppies. Those puppies later become his private army. When Napoleon uses the dogs to drive Snowball away, Orwell is symbolizing Stalin's removal of Trotsky from Soviet politics. However, notice something fascinating. After expelling Snowball, Napoleon adopts
He called the
I didn't get you. Sorry.
the dogs in this story context. Who are the dogs in Nigeria? Who were the
That
dogs?
that I think the Nigerians, because when you look at this, what this depicts is just the political class. That's the big political class, and
I
then
think it's I think it's the
to this you
military.
can just say
I
maybe
disagree with you,
the
Abdullahi. I disagree with you, Abdullahi. I think it's the military, the police, the uniform forces are the dogs here.
but
They've been trained only to protect the political elites. They're not. Those are the dogs. Anything, the uniform forces, I would say. What do you think? What do you guys
yes,
think?
they are the dogs. That's the dogs. But I'm trying to say in this context, the the Napoleon is those big political class. They don't come to debate. They don't argue intellectually. They don't bring any issues. They allow those that will have all the issues. They will analyze and finish analyzing anything. At the end of the day, during the election, they will use the might and some of their touts, and then they will chase you away, and they will take over power, and they will retire you by force. You will not have access to that power because they understand how it happens.
I agree with you. I like the way you expanded the Napoleons to include all the political elites. It's not just individuals that are Napoleon. All the political
No.
elites, senators, governors, chairmen, and all these political elites are all Napoleons. And I would say the dogs in this contest will be the uniform forces, army, navy, soldiers, police. Their primary purpose is never for the country, it's for the political elites that train them.
Yes, the dogs are any person or any institution or any form of union that the state used to maintain its own existence. They are all dogs.
So that means the journalists, Nigerian Union of Journalists should be included, Nigerian Bar Association, the judges, the educated ones, all these
Yes,
educated
I think they
people,
are because
they are all
the
dogs
state
too.
needs you in one way or the other to maintain and then chase away the good candidate or the good individuals that should come and fix, because all what you are all beneficiary. The expectation is what when the Napoleon got it, you all got it, but you don't know that along the line when they got it, they are going to what you will still come back and suffer with those that you even chase away.
I like the fact that we are including the journalists as part of the dogs. We don't have a media. That's why
But I
we're
think they also have their own place, The squaller,
You-
I think.
They have their own place in the front where they call them. I forgot
yeah,
the
you
name
see,
because I read the book quite a while ago.
some aspect of our society can have multiple animal character. They could be dogs in some certain areas, like the judges making political decisions, or they could be squealers and experts of propagandas and all the
Yes, those
mockeries
squealers.
and co-
So the squealers are the media and the office of the ministers and the commissioners of information and and media aides of all the political office holders, all the political
Wait,
elites.
wait, wait,
Those
wait,
are the squealers.
Abdullahi, wait, wait. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's get there first before we start throwing out their names. We're not there yet. Let's get there. Let's continue the play and then.
many of Snowball's ideas. For example, he eventually supports the windmill project. This shows us that Napoleon was never truly opposed to the idea itself. He simply wanted complete control. And this is one of Orwell's most profound observations about politics. Sometimes political conflicts are less about ideas and more about power. Now, let us turn our attention to one of the most dangerous characters in the novel, Squealer. Squealer represents propaganda and state-controlled media. If Napoleon controls the government, Squealer controls public opinion. Throughout the novel, whenever Napoleon makes a controversial decision, Squealer appears to explain why it is actually beneficial. At first, the lies seem small. The pigs need extra milk. The pigs need extra apples. The pigs deserve special treatment. Gradually, the lies become larger and larger. Eventually,
Okay, guys, I think the Squealer, I know one Squealer in Babangida's time. Was it Babangida's time or Abata's? One guy called Chuku Merije. So what are the Squealers of, who are the Squealers of today? Who are the Squealers of the past? I would call Abati also a Squealer. The media.
Then what
What's that
about
guy?
Lai Mohammed?
Lai Mohammed. What about that guy that works for TVC? The one with the big mouth that just talks a lot of rubbish. Otito Loju, or what he does he call himself? Do you remember
Yes,
his name?
Babajide.
Those are terrible squeal, and he looks like a squealer for real. Just look at his mouth. Who else are the squealers? Ureno Omokri. What's the other
All
one?
those,
Fanny
all
Kayode.
the political appointees, media aides, those ones that are created to maintain the degree, the integrity of the government. All those PR people, they are all squealers to me.
What about those on X? Any squealers on X that you know, Ariboko? Or you go on discussions all the time on X? We can name their names. Any squealers? There's one guy I know. There's one guy I know that called Doggy or whatever he calls himself, or is it 10 over 10? And there's some morons out there.
Doggy and Magnum.
Well, there's another one that calls himself Comrade. It's mindset too. Mindset too. Name them, I beg. Which ones you know? Abdullahi, which squealers you know on X? Make we name them so they know themselves.
Me, it has been a while since I stopped joining any Twitter X space, because since I think 2023 when I had some issue with some, so I left them with their madness. I only comment and write some things. I don't.
I believe that Dr. Damage too is also a squealer. I'm sorry. VDM is not on X, but VDM is a squealer too. Renny Fire,
You know, and there is one great aspect that we skip, I think, where he's saying that sometimes political battle is not all about a real idea, but who controls it. Because if you look at all those people that are fighting that, okay, we will not sell the refinery, we will not remove subsidy, we will not do they are just fighting with those things, not because there is who will control, who will benefit. That's what the ruiners are doing. Either PDP or this party, they are fighting that this person will not do this. At the end of the day, when they come into power, they will do it. So all they are doing is that they are not doing it for you. It's who controls. Just like the Napoleon is doing. That after he chased away the snowball, he then implement the policy. He's telling you that in Nigeria, even though some of them that you think they are not going to do this, when you chase this one away, as far as the system continues like this, they are just like, okay, let me not allow him to benefit from it.
Would you, sorry, Abdullahi and Ibuku, would you guys consider Okibaloye a squealer?
Yeah, in some sense, but you may not know that he is a squealer. But in some
So
sense,
that means we do have a lot of squealers among us. I know a few also.
Yeah.
I know a few on YouTube. I know this guy called True Niger, forefather he calls himself. I know one guy called Ovie. is a squealer. I know one guy called KG. He's a squealer. Let me see a few ones that I still know on YouTube that are squealers. Anytime they think they have a microphone, they see themselves as superstars, and then they start blotting out poisons to the people. Poisons or from poisons, propaganda or for propaganda. Oh, there's another guy called AY. There's another guy. There's so many of them, these squealers. So it's not just the Fani Kayode or the Reno or Mokri or the Buwalas that you should be worried about. There are squealers among us every day. And that's why sometimes I don't want them coming into our studio when we should be using that either the calling or because some squealers, I won't let them in here because all they spill is poison. Abati is a squealer. Okibaloye to me is a squealer. Who else does propaganda? Who else you guys know? Or you boys are afraid to mention names?
To me, most of the media presenters in Nigeria, those OAPs that will come and explain, and those public commentators, that at the end of the day, they will come and they will be justifying what is happening. I think if you are justifying injustice, you are a squealer. Either you are a public commentator, public analyst, or an OAP. You are a squealer. To me.
Honest mindset is also a squealer. And they look for these people trouble. They will go report us for ethnic they ban us. Doggy is a squealer. Oh, but those people like Doggy, Comrade, or all those fools on there, those ones have no intelligence. So one man to mow is a squealer. But those ones are squealers without any intelligence, no brain. So mentioning them is even wasting your time. You understand? If you're going to mention squealers, at least you want to mention squealers with intelligence. At least you can give it to Buwala, you can give it to Reno Mokri, you can give it to Abati.
Sometimes the reason why I prefer giving their character is because some of them might disguise along the line. They will say, okay, they will change all this, and individuals keep changing. Because to me, I believe is the system that is creating those people. So when you give out their characters, so even if these people left or suddenly they go down the drain, so those characters will still be exhibited by other individuals. So people will clearly see that, okay, if you see anybody exhibiting this character, so he's a squealer. That's the character of squealer. Squealer always what? Try to explain the bad decisions or bad policy of government to make it look like what it is good. That's the only option. If we cannot do this, just like, okay, if we did not remove the subsidy, or if we did not do this, if we did not increase, if we did not do this, all those people that are justifying the injustice or the wrong policies of government are squealers. So that's why even if this administration goes and another administration comes, or if anybody left office and someone comes and is still doing that, he's a squealer. So the squealership is not an individual, but is what? A character that one will exhibit, and that makes him that person.
I wish those listening to us can just text in, call in, give us some more names of squealers that they know. We should mandate everybody to give us at least 5 names of squealers they know. Anyway, do we continue the video while we're waiting for people to pick up the mic? Okay. Yeah.
The squealer begins rewriting history itself. This is extremely important. Totalitarian governments do not merely control the present, they often attempt to control the past. For example, Snowball's heroic actions during the Battle of the Cowshed are later erased and replaced with false stories. Similarly, the 7 commandments are secretly altered. Consider this famous example. Originally, the commandment states, "No animal shall kill any other animal." Later, it becomes, "No animal shall kill any other animal without cause." Just 2 extra words completely transform the meaning. Orwell wants us to understand that language is power. Whoever controls language often controls reality. Now let us discuss my favorite character in the novel, Boxer. Boxer represents the hardworking working class. He is physically strong. He is honest. He is loyal. And unfortunately, He is too trusting. His first famous motto is, I will work harder. And his second motto is, Napoleon is always right.
Who are the boxers in our society? I would say there are some strong supporters of APC that are boxers out of ignorance. They just very loyal and they just believe in the strategist. It's the same thing, some loyalists of PDP, of Labour Party. I would say there's a lot of obedience that are boxers. I might be wrong about that too, but I think I'm right. And so what other characters in Nigeria do you guys are those who just follow without question?
I think the Nigerian civil
a lot of articulators to our boxers. Some are just sincerely trusting and that's the only thing they know, to just believe their leader, support their leader. They don't know it as something bad. They're boxers. They're being used and they don't know they're being used, and there's a lot of them. So let's give more examples of who are the boxers in our society.
Yeah, the Nigerian civil servants are boxers, and the professionals, all right, the Nigerian professionals. Because if you have to look at the history of Nigeria, you have seen these guys have these Nigerian civil servants, the permanent secretaries, and all of the rest, the doctors, the engineers, the bankers. They work very hard, without resisting the system. Hoping that they will also get a slice of the power game, going on. So, in my view, the Nigerian civil servants and the Nigerian professionals are boxer, really, yeah. Mr. Abdullahi?
Yes, to me, I think you are right. The Nigerian civil servant and even those that are not within the formal, both those informal and the informal sector are also boxers. Because if you look at it, most people, that's why we are called sometimes the resilience people, that will keep pushing despite what is happening. We say it will get better. It will get better, the government. And then we keep believing that, yes, we will endure this. When we endure, better days are coming. So just like what you're doing, so that's what we keep doing. So I think we have as many as possible as we can live.
Yeah, you get another tragedy of the boxers. You just saw the retired uniform men, military officers and police officers marching in Abuja. Was it this week? Yeah, it was this week. For their pension. Those are boxers. They serve the system sincerely, loyally, and then the system betrays them. They're not even paid their pension and all. There's so many boxers. There's so many Nigerian military officers that have served honestly, sincerely, and very hardworking. But at the end of the day, when they're retired and they get to their old age, they are utterly betrayed. They can't get their pension. Their money is not paid. The system, it's the system they defended, they protected, they were loyal to, now betrays them. Just like Boxer was sold eventually after his strength has went out. So a lot of, in terms of numbers, I would say 95% of Nigerians are boxers. The boxer character, they're just loyal to a fault. And that's why we said Nigeria needs disloyal voters. In one of our articles, we had that Nigeria needs disloyal voters. You cannot be loyal to something that is betraying you. That's insane, But a lot of workers, a lot of civil servants, would you consider Nigerian market women and Nigerian farmers as boxers? Abdullahi and Ibukun, can you guys?
I think they are, because that's why we said majority of Nigerians have that character, because we keep adjusting.
There's another character that is there. There's another, the Clover. I think that the market women, and well, you can also call them boxers to an extent because they work hard. The Okada riders, and of course, but there's another character that is thing we can explore to depict the Clover is another character that we can use.
Okay, let's wait until, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's wait until we get there. Let's keep playing the video. Yeah, you're right. So we shouldn't put the the Okada riders, the market women, the Nigerian farmers as a boxer. Yeah, I would say mostly civil servants, uniform
it is
uniform
like a spectrum.
personnel. Yeah, because not them. Okay, let's keep playing and we'll get more. Well,
Yeah, it's a
there's a
spectrum.
character to go around for every.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's play.
At first glance, these seem admirable. Hard work is usually a positive quality. Loyalty is usually a positive quality. However, Orwell demonstrates that even virtues can become dangerous when they are not balanced with critical thinking. Boxer never questions authority. He never challenges propaganda. He never examines whether Napoleon deserves his loyalty. As a result, he becomes easy to exploit. The most heartbreaking moment in the novel occurs when Boxer becomes old and weak. After years of service, he expects care and support. Instead, Napoleon sells him to the knacker. The horse who built the farm is discarded once he is no longer useful. This scene reveals Orwell's devastating criticism of totalitarian systems.
I just want to ask, do Nigerian Christians, members of the regime, the Nigerian Muslims, are they boxers? Do they fall into those categories? Abdullahi and Ibukun.
Yes, I believe that's why I said it's a spectrum. But the most succinct example of boxer is what you said before. The retired military officers that has been used. They did not question how the propaganda of the previous government that they served. They have been used, all right, by the previous entities, and of course they have been discarded now, and they are now asked to. They are now in a place whereby they have to fight for their entitlement. So I think that those military officers that are a good example. Those retired military officers are a very succinct example of the boxers. But yes, you are very right. The religious people are also very much in that spectrum. Yes, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Let us now consider the dogs. The dogs represent Stalin's secret police. Historically, they symbolize organizations that enforced obedience through fear and violence. Notice what happens after the dogs gain power. Debates disappear. Opposition disappears. Criticism becomes dangerous. Fear replaces discussion. This is a hallmark of totalitarianism. In democratic societies, leaders persuade. In totalitarian societies, leaders intimidate. Orwell shows us how quickly freedom can vanish once fear becomes a political tool.
For us, is it right for us to consider this current administration, the Tinubu administration, as a totalitarian administration? I know that sounds like a rhetorical question, but its advocate will still say, well, there's still democracy in it. You can, I don't know. I'll throw it to both Abdullahi and Ibukuto to chew that one.
Yes,
please make comments if you disagree or agree with our analysis. If you want to, if you're enjoying it, also make comment. If it's pissing you off, make comment. But either way, make comment. Let's know what you're thinking. Continue, Ibukun.
Yes, and I agree 100%. With you that they want to project the aura of democracy, but it's in actual sense it's totalitarian. I will also categorize the DSS, among the allegorical dogs that we are talking about here. And what they are doing is very simple. To clamp down on dissenting voices, and intimidate people. All right, we see how they do their antics. So yes.
What about the EFCC?
Yes, they are also categorized as dogs in my own view. They are the ones that go after selectively. So that is even the reason why it is more totalitarian, because they can freeze accounts at will, at the slightest call of the Napoleon in power. So I can categorize this administration as totalitarian. It has all of the characteristics. It's not even propaganda. It has all of the characteristics of a totalitarian administration. Please proceed, Mr. Abdullahi.
Yes, I think it's not only this government, the APC government, or sometimes even the previous government has some semblance of it, but it's more pronounced in this government because once you go against the government,
Yes,
you will
it
be
metamorphosized. The whole thing got worse and worse
yes,
and worse and worse as time
worse
goes on.
and
Yeah.
worse. So it's just like we keep running. It's just snowballing from one administration to the other, and it keeps growing, just like how a tree, when you plant it, it's small, it keeps growing, it keeps growing, it keeps growing. So this government, it has grown in this government more bigger than in the previous administration. So it's a totalitarian system, and then we can say that all the agents, well, it's not only EFCC, DSS, or they are all agents. All the uniform and the military and the paramilitary are all the dogs that what go and pick and do all the works of the Napoleon. So that's why they are all there.
So do this, what percentage of Nigerians know that their government is a totalitarian government? It's a fascist government. Do you think what percentage of Nigerians know this?
The vast majority of Nigerians have absolutely no idea. They know something is wrong, but they can't just recognize it or acknowledge it. Yeah. Many of them even think that they are failures in themselves. They project the failure on themselves. They project all of the realities that has been orchestrated towards them as they themselves having issues. They even call it Ogundile and the rest of the Ogundile means family spiritual problem. Knowing fully, not knowing that it's actually systemic. So they have no idea. Most Nigerians have no idea.
Okay. Abdullahi, you want
Yes,
to say something?
I said yes, because most Nigerians don't know, because they allow those elements of democracy to keep running as if they are running in, but they are the ones controlling them. When you have something like you allow a life of something to keep continuing, then people think that thing exists. Just like when you look at the delusion on the road, that from afar you see like there is water. So you think there is water on the streets. That's why this periodic election, the media presence, and then allowing some political parties to keep making noise around. Then they say this is democracy. They allow oppositions, they allow the media, and they allow periodic election. And then institutions calling themselves the human rights, then NGOs, the civil society organization, which are all dancing to the dictates of the Napoleon. So those things, they make them look like, yes, there is democracy, but democracy is not in presence. So that's
And
what
of
they are
course,
using to deceive.
to add to that, the whole voter apathy situation where citizens refuse to participate in the election is a classic example of the reason why it is totalitarian, because people they don't believe in democratic process any longer. They believe that their vote doesn't count, and in a state where votes don't count, and citizens, the vast majority of the citizens have this belief. In this last election, just barely 30% of the voting, electorates participated. So that is an indication right there. People do not believe in the democracy, because if they believe in it, they will participate in it. So that, and of course, if they don't believe in it, it means either consciously or subconsciously, they know that it is a totalitarian regime. Absolutely. So please, that is just my comment about that.
Now we come to the final chapter. And here Orwell delivers his most powerful message. As the story ends, the pigs begin walking on two legs. They wear human clothes. They drink alcohol. They socialize with human farmers. In other words, they become exactly what they once opposed. The revolution promised equality. The revolution promised freedom. The revolution promised justice. Yet the new rulers become indistinguishable from the old rulers.
I wanted to say something about this. Somebody put a phrase out there one time and said that I don't know if I can still find the video. I probably do when we have time. But so about a tweet out there, one of these content creators with large followership or medium followership, that the Kanu's governor, whichever governor that just did the marriage thing, is doing the thing the people want, and that's why they keep voting for people like that. That was his opinion. So I replied that that's an Olodo uprising remark. That's a typical senseless remark, because if you're smart, you will know that in every country, in every population, in every ethnic society, it is only 10% of the people of that society that determines direction. The other 90% are nothing but followers. So if a society remains neutral, it's the fight between the 5% and the 5%. So if 5% of that is the Napoleon versus the snowball, is whoever wins that battle that will take that country in the direction they go. So if the Napoleon 5% win, no, if the Napoleon 5% move up to 6%, and the snowball percentage move to 4%, the Napoleon would determine the direction of that country, whether it's China, Russia, or America. So the battle you have to watch is that the battle of that 10%, not the 90%, because the other 90% are just followers. Now, in the Animal Farm, it was battle between Napoleon and Snowball, and Napoleon won. You understand? And so it took the Animal Farm in the direction of Napoleon. The same thing. The tragedy of Nigeria is not for him to be putting the direction of Nigeria on that 90%. It shows that that guy was an Olodo. I will try and see if I can dig up his video. I think send you to you guys. I think you know the video I'm talking about. I don't know the guy. I don't stay tuned with people's name. So in Nigeria, the tragedy we have is that our 10%, which are mostly elites, elites are usually the ones that form that 10%. So let me talk about America. In America, their 10%, they have about 8 determines the direction of their country in the positive direction. China, I don't know what percentage, but they determine the direction. Russia, the same thing. In Nigeria, out of that 10% that determines direction, 9% are of the Olodo uprising generation, are the Napoleons, they are the Tinumbus, they are the Babangidas, they are the Obasanjos. Those are typical Nigerian characteristics. So the other 1%, which are the Felas, the Ganifawe in me, are just 1%. The you that is talking now, the me and you and all this, we're just 1%. So it is those 10 battle of that 10% that determines a country's direction. But somebody from the Olodo generation would not know this and will come out and say, because the governor is giving them marriages, that's why they are voting for him. He has ignored all the reality that involves voting in Nigeria because he's an Olodo. He doesn't know what he's talking about. You understand? He has ignored the fact that a governor that chooses to pay for a wedding of a man that is marrying the third or fifth wife is a governor that lacks vision. When these children are not educated, when 20 million children are out of school. You understand? That governor, because he sits on the seat of the governorship, is determining direction, and is a Napoleon, somebody who lacks vision, who is not different from the colonial masters. That was why the pig started walking on 2 legs. Now you cannot tell Mr. Jones from the pig. You cannot tell the colonial masters who came to exploit us, take all our resources, both human and material. We cannot tell them apart from our current rulers who are also exploiting us, taking all our resources and taking it back to Mr. Jones, the colonial master. You see the irony of the story there. It is quite tragic, and that's where we are. as a people. And we got to start educating this Olodo generation uprising that you're getting it wrong. The people didn't choose marriage. The governor chose that for them. If they were to choose a direction, they would prefer justice, food, equity, electricity, water, and a good school for their children. Someone chose to marry them, pay for their marriage because he wants to weaponize their poverty. And why is he weaponizing their poverty? Because he wants to exploit them. But somebody of the Olodo, we should find that video and play if we have time. I don't know how many hours we will go on today's show, but if we have time, because we still have so much stuff to go through that we've not got into. I will show you that video. It's one of the videos I think I sent. I don't know if people can find it. You know the video I'm talking about? I shared it with you one time. I'll find it. Don't worry. Let's finish this one so we can go to something else. Let's finish this.
This idea reaches its climax in one of the most famous lines in world literature. As literature students, we should recognize that this statement is logically impossible. No one can be more equal. The sentence deliberately violates logic, yet it perfectly captures the hypocrisy of authoritarian regimes.
And we see that a lot with our elite or those that defend totalitarian. They will come up with words that are logically not visible. How can you be more equal than something? You understand? And that's why Fela in his songs will say they will come with crazy words like misappropriation, delinquency. If you listen to any of his songs, they play with words. No, not play with words. They're doing it deliberately, but it's done on purpose. You understand? It's not like it's an accident and things like that. It's done on purpose. Let's finish this thing, then we will go through 2 short articles, and then we will come back to all the other interesting things we have for you guys. I'll let you guys comment after we finish this video.
They continue to speak the language of equality while practicing inequality. Through this final transformation, Orwell warns us that revolutions can fail when power becomes more important than principles. So, class, what is the ultimate lesson of Animal Farm? Is it simply a story about Soviet Russia? No, it is much more than that. It is a story about the corruption of power. It is a story about propaganda. It is a story about the manipulation of language. It is a story about the dangers of blind loyalty. Most importantly, it is a story about how revolutions can betray their original ideals. It is a story. Is it simply a story about Soviet Russia? No, it is much more than that. It is a story about the corruption of power. It is a story about propaganda. It is a story about the manipulation of language. It is a story about the dangers of blind loyalty. Most importantly, it is a story about how revolutions can betray their original ideals. Orwell reminds us that freedom requires vigilance. Citizens must question authority. They must examine political language critically. They must remember history accurately. Because whenever people stop thinking critically, whenever propaganda replaces truth, and whenever power becomes concentrated in the hands of a few, the same pattern begins again. The pigs move into the farmhouse. The slogans remain. The promises remain. But freedom slowly disappears. And that is why Animal Farm... Is it simply a story about Soviet Russia? No, it is much more than that. It is a story about the corruption of power. It is a story about propaganda. It is a story about the manipulation of language. It is a story about the dangers of blind loyalty. Most importantly, it is a story about how revolutions can betray their original ideals. Orwell reminds us that freedom requires vigilance. Citizens must question authority. They must examine political language critically. They must remember history accurately. Because whenever people stop thinking critically, whenever propaganda replaces truth, and whenever power becomes concentrated in the hands of a few, the same pattern begins again. The pigs move into the farmhouse. The slogans remain. The promises remain. But freedom slowly disappears.
And no, it is much more than that. It is a story about the corruption of power. It is a story about propaganda.
It seems that
It is a story about the
there's a
manipulation
repetition
of
going on.
language.
Is it
It is
deliberate?
a story
want
about
it
the
to repeat
dangers of
twice so
blind
that we
loyalty.
can get the key
Most
reason
importantly,
why
it
we
is
are
a story
doing
about
this.
how revolutions
You understand?
can betray their original ideals. Orwell reminds us that freedom requires vigilance.
I want you to repeat
Citizens
twice
must
so we
question
can get the
authority.
real
They
idea of
must
what we are
examine
doing,
political language
why we are
critically.
doing this.
They must remember history accurately. Because whenever people stop thinking critically, whenever propaganda replaces truth, and whenever power becomes concentrated in the hands of a few, the same pattern begins again. The pigs move into the farmhouse. The slogans remain. The promises remain. But freedom slowly disappears. And that is why Animal Farm remains one of the most important political allegories ever written. Thank you for joining me in today's lecture. If you found that, most importantly, it is a story about how revolutions, it is a story about the dangers of, it is a story about the manipulation of language, it is a story about the corruption of power, it is a story about propaganda, it is a story about the manipulation of language, it is a story about the dangers of blind loyalty. Most importantly, it is a story about how revolutions can betray their original ideals. Orwell reminds us that freedom requires vigilance. Citizens must question authority. They must examine political language critically. They must remember history accurately. Because whenever people stop thinking critically, whenever propaganda replaces truth, and whenever power becomes concentrated in the hands of a few, the same pattern begins again. The pigs move into the farmhouse. The slogans remain. The promises remain. But freedom slowly disappears. And that, no, it is much more than that. It is a story about the corruption of power. It is a story about propaganda. It is a story about the manipulation of language. It is a story about the dangers of blind loyalty. Most importantly, it is a story about how revolutions can betray their original ideals. Orwell reminds us that freedom requires vigilance. Citizens must question authority. They must examine political language critically. They must remember history accurately. Because whenever people stop thinking critically, whenever propaganda replaces truth, and whenever power becomes concentrated in the hands of a few, the same pattern begins again. The pigs move into the farmhouse. The slogans remain. The promises remain. But freedom slowly disappears. And that is why Animal Farm remains one of the most important political allegories ever written. Thank you for joining me in today's lecture. If you found this analysis helpful, do share it with fellow literature students.
And we'll get going right away on that, and then we'll move on to, we want to share the story of a blind man that walks the streets of Lagos as a drummer, and then we'll want to share, that's part of our culture, you know, and then we'll, hypocrites. Okay, let me get this done and then we'll get going. Okay. Let me share that. Any comment from you guys while I'm sharing? You guys want to mention, repeat our jingle, our purpose for the people listening, and ask them if they want to join us. we must be getting too in depth for the audience for them to be afraid to join us.
Well, I don't. Well, I just believe that we are doing a fantastic job to bring educative content, and I believe as time goes on, in not too distant future, or the audience will warm up to us. They would begin to participate. They want to get familiarized with us. They want to know exactly what we are all about. They want to know whether or not we are propaganda machines or perhaps paid um, actors, just like the rest of the bunch. Because you know how the Nigerian space is just saturated with so much rubbish. So I believe the whole radio silence from the side of our audience is just them sizing us up, really, in my view. What do you think, Mr. Abdullah?
Yes, you are quite right because I just as I said, the consistency is what matters. As time continues going on, what will get the crowd and will get the contributions because I know many of them are just looking at okay, who are these people? What are they doing? Will they continue with it? Or along the line them too they will drop and go back to the and join the bad wagon. So that's why they're just looking at us and monitoring because people are definitely watching. Definitely people are watching. So let's keep doing it. And then along as time goes on, we'll get it right. We'll get the population, we'll liberate the people, and then as much as we can, let's just keep it up.
This when power fears no one by George Udo. I'm gonna do the reading quick, and then Bukman and Abdullah will do the pidgin version, and then we have one more article after that, and then we'll go to some other video. Let's get that done quickly. I'm gonna read pretty fast because we're running out of time. I hope you guys are not getting tired. My battery. Gotta be careful with that. Okay. Losing power. Okay, is it charging now? Good. My computer is losing power. That's why. When power fears no one by George Judo. A democracy survives not because leaders are loved. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, good.
absolutely. You're audible.
A democracy survives not because leaders are loved, but because they are afraid. Afraid of the people, afraid of the law, afraid of institutions stronger than their personal will. The moment a president stops fearing anyone in the country and a governor fears no one in his state, democracy quietly gives way to tyranny. Power without fear is not leadership. It is a domination. It is domination. In Nigeria today, power no longer looks accountable. It looks absolute. If we observe keenly, the Nigerian president is not restrained by institution. Rather, institutions are restrained by the president. The legislature, the judiciary, the security agencies, even party structures increasingly appear timid, cautious, or outright submissive. Instead of power flowing upward from the people, it flows downward from one individual, creating a political culture where questioning authority is treated as rebellion and dissent is criminalized. This crisis has deepened under the current political climate. Under Tinubu's regime, what we are witnessing is not an organic political loyalty, but coordinated political surrender. Governors decamp en masse into the ruling party not because of ideology or policy alignment, but because power has become centralized and survival seems to depend on proximity to it. They wear signature cards, chant rehearsed slogans on your mandate we shall stand, and perform loyalty as a political ritual. This is not democracy. This is court politics. When a president begins to resemble a deity, hardly questioned, rarely challenged, always obeyed, the state has crossed a dangerous line. Power becomes personalized. Governance becomes worship. Citizens become subject. Today, what the president wants, he gets. not through persuasion or consensus, but through influence, pressure, and fear. History warns us that what happened next, if a third-term agenda were to surface again, as it did under Obasanjo, there is every indication that the National Assembly would not resist it with the courage seen in the past. The political class has been domesticated. Opposition has been weakened, fragmented, or absorbed. Institution that should act as firewall against excess power now appears extension of executive will. What makes this moment even more troubling is the near disappearance of influential, fearless critics in previous eras. Nigeria had voices that power could not silence. Fela Anikulapo Kuti, Gani Fawehinmi, and others who confronted government openly, protested unpopular policies, and forced accountability. They challenged regimes whose policy, by comparison, were less economically suffocating than what Nigerians experience today. Now, at a time when policy deeply affects livelihood, fuel subsidy removal, current instability, sorry, I had to adjust my TikTok page because it was about to go up. To comply, not to question, no longer feel obliged to explain itself to the people. The government no longer feels obliged to explain itself to the people. Public communication has shifted from dialogue to decree. Citizens are expected to endure, not to understand, to comply, not to question. And those who dare to speak, they are met not with explanation, but with court notices, arrest, intimidation, and surveillance. The law is no longer a shield for citizens, it is a weapon against them. Dissent is framed as sabotage. Criticism is labeled disloyalty. Protest is treated as a threat to national security. With the exception of a few persistent voices like Omoyele Sowore, critical opposition, and Dele Farotimi, critical opposition has been reduced to whispers. Citizen society is cautious. Media houses self-censor. Influencers calculate risks before speaking. Fear has replaced courage as the dominant political emotion. This is how democracies die. Not with tanks on the street, but with applause in the parliament. Not through coups, but through compliance. Not by force alone, but by silence. A government that is not afraid of its people will never serve them. A leader who is never questioned will never correct himself. And a nation that worships power will eventually be crushed by it. Democracy demands friction. It requires resistance, debate, protest, and accountability. Where these are absent, what remains is not order, but quiet authoritarianism dressed in democratic language, enforced by fear and sustained by collective surrender. Nigeria is not yet there, but it is dangerously close, and history will not be kind to those who saw it coming and choose comfort over courage. Okay, that's it. Can we do this real fast so that we can go to our Heroes Pass by Masca? Masca, that's not an article, but a presentation of Pan-Africanists who have contributed to the cause of the black race in Africa. Ibukun and Abdullahi, can we be fast about this one? Is it possible?
Okay, yeah, there's no problem. Well,
Yeah,
I just
hold on. I'm trying to set it up first. Hold on. Okay. Moving this thing. Okay. Make we do it fast. Because we've done this before in the past. That's why we're just running through it. Because it's similar to the topic we have today. And today we have so much stuff. I don't even know if we can have enough time to cover it all. But let's start. Go ahead, guys. Can you see it?
yes, I can see it. I can see it very clearly.
Don't forget,
Yeah,
speed
when
is
power appears. Yes, when power appears, no one, of course, that one he did very explanatory. Not be too much of Imbo. When we don't fear anybody. All right. Democracy's survivor. This survivor of government of you and I. You and I government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's based on fear, not love. Fear of people, law, and institutions. All right, I know what they happen for our society now. As we fear the institution, tyranny emerges. All right, people say that they flex power. Leaders fear no one. Power becomes absolute. That is, if he asks question, if he talk because of the people waiting for power. Nigeria's political climate, as Nigeria may be, in that I mean, all right, you have institutions, restrained by the president. Now, know as they go for Nigeria now, how the office of the presidency, they always restrain the power of, the institutions. You have institutions like the judiciary, like the electoral fire. How that them they influence everything. Everything. All right, power flows downward. Yes. And of course, you have coordinated political surrender. Yes, as all of us, take, and of course, many other parties, apart from the party in power, how all of them don't surrender power to Tinubu, right? You see, in the 36 states, you have APC controlling all, even those that call themselves opposition governors. They are still endorsed. Yeah, my internet is back. So even so you have everybody surrendering to the person with the power, and you see, governors they come from proximity. Yes, legality as rituals, not ideology. Court politics and not democracy. Yes, you see how courts go give person will be number 4 for election, make it become governor. Person will not vote for at all. So president is there that this now don't turn president to your idol we worship. All right. Hardly questioned, rarely challenged. Yes. State crosses dangerous line. All right. Governance becomes worship. I said, I call them according to parties of Bible, political hallelujah boys. The plenty where for everywhere. Everybody is singing the praise of politicians. And you have the historical warnings. We waiting history don't warn us about this kind of thing. Third time agenda resistance weakening, bring the Obasanjo era. We won't become president for the third time. All right, political class domesticated, all right, and of course, position fragmented or absorbed. Now, no position again. All right, people to call themselves major opposition. They are not opposing anything. Tell me what they are opposing, all right, in the comment section. Institutions, extensions of executive will. All right, so you have the police, very much obeying the power that they are not independent. You have INEC, not independent. The judiciary, not independent. Legislature, not independent. So now, so we see. And let me take one more of this, then we'll pass the mic to Mr. Abdullahi. Disappearance of fearless critics. Yes, all of the people suppose they always talk, they don't disappear, finish. All of the people like Fela Anikulapo Kuti, where they use the name, they call their name Obasanjo, or like Obasanjo Anabiola International, get all of those things again. Get musician where they like Fela again. Now the thing we just want to talk about that. Say, fearless critics don't disappear. And if you help me move that into the side a little bit, make I see what in that one talk about before I pass the mic to Abdullahi Salisu. Yes. I see if I know what in the talk. Fala, Shoyinka, Faweyimi, all of them don't disappear. Confronted governments openly. Yes, as I said it before, Fela will sing about all of these people in his song and call them by their names. Get that one again. That one no day again. All your singers now, all your musicians, they are thinking about nyash and breasts and kwikus. How you go take pound your woman where. Now, thing that they talk about now, they don't talk about government. All right. Challenged, less suffocating policies. Yes. All right. So it is very, very important that we know all of these things as we talk about the resistance, space waiting for Nigeria. Mr. Abdullahi, can you take the rest or should I continue?
Yes, let me try.
Okay.
Okay. The next one, after we talk about is current crisis. That's the issue where they happen now. That's the matter where they blow everywhere where they happen. First, now lack of accountability. People know they ask questions. Nobody where they ask question. Government know they explain their policy. People know they ask government, may they explain what thing they explain. wetin they do, how they take do. Public communication, decree not dialogue. Now public issues, public communication, they will just come tell you something where they want may you hear. They no want may you talk your own. That's why in movement radio we tell you say, if as we talk, you should also talk. But now government public communication, they will just come read like saying a military decree. We don't do this, we don't do that, we don't come out subsidy. Nobody asks anybody to come out subsidy. That's why they can't come out electricity tariff. Nobody they ask anybody. So nobody they talk anything. Citizens expected to endure and comply. So citizens are only all these the laws, all these policies, where they tell you, they know they expect say you go ask question or you go do anything. No, just accept them, endure the pain, and then comply. That's why they tell you endure. Then the next one is what? Suppression of dissent. All other opinion, contrary opinion, that's all those ones where they know they believe, where they don't get the same belief. They what? They know they listen to them, they kill them. Anyone will get different opinion, they know they allow men. Then speaking out met with intimidation. If you talk, they will carry you. Or if you talk, police go arrest you, DSS go pick you, they go take you to prison. So all those people will get different opinion, they know fit talk. Law as a weapon against citizen. The law, instead of it to protect you, now it dey work against you. It dey work against you because now you dey punish. You know they punish the people where you suppose punish. Then dissent frame as sabotage. Anybody where they talk about something different, they go say in they commit treason or in they do something, in they sabotage the government, na sabotage. Now them they cause problem. Then criticism level as disloyalty. Anybody way criticize either in good way or anyhow, or hold the government to accountable, they will say this is a disloyal citizen. No be person will be loyal citizen. Now person will not get patriotism. Then protest treated as what? Threat. Anybody will come out saying go protest, in go talk against the thing. They say to in want destroy the country. Now destroy the one destroy the country. Then weaken opposition. Oppositions, all political parties or any other people will get different view. You don't weak, they no strong again. Few persistent voices, sorry, few persistent voices, like example like Showore, now only them they fit talk, and like Dele Parutimi, now only them they fit talk against waiting they happen. All the others, they don't mellow, them too they don't answer, they don't say yes. Then critical opposition reduced to whispers. If now you want to talk anything, you cannot come to the media, you cannot do anything. If not be movement radio, you know go see anywhere where you go fit talk anyhow wey you wan talk. They will come say talk. NBC go come or Nigerian Press Council, you go see sanction. Before you know, they don't suspend you 3 months, 6 months. So then civil society cautious. Civil society too, they no dey too ask question because they dey fear wetin government go do. Media self-censors. Media they control themselves. No be say NBC or Nigerian Press Council go come, but even them themselves they censor themselves. They know they talk anyhow. Then influencers calculate risk. All the people with this X space or influencers, religious leaders, traditional leaders, or public commentators, all of them they fear risk. So may they not carry them. How democracy die. So now this one, they talk how democracy die. How we take by this democracy, government of the people wey we dey talk, how we take by. So not with tanks, not be with tanks where they will come with weapon, gun and things where they will come fight, but with what? Applause. We dey clap for things where we not supposed clap. They are not true coup, but by what? Compliance. No be say they will come topple the government. No be say they will come take over the government, but what? By people just answering yes, 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 and complying with it and doing it. Then not by force alone, but by silence. No be say they come force you make you do am, but by your silence, you should say you don't agree. So you too you go kill democracy. No any other divergent opinion. So consequences of unchecked power. So if we not check power, we not hold anybody to account. This is where wetin we will come get at the end of the day. The first one is government not afraid of people. Government no they fear waiting people go do. Ah yes, they no go do anything, they no fit do anything now. So now so the government go dey see us. Their leaders never question, never correct. If you no question your leaders or you not hold them to account, they no go correct their mistakes. They will continue to do wetin they want do. Nation worshipping power cross. crushed. So people where they worship power, all of that, at the end of the day, they will be what? They will be crushed. They will just be grinded. They will move with them. They no go fit achieve anything. The country, the leaders go do anyhow they want, the way they want. Then democracy demand. This is waiting government of the people by the people and for the people. Now in waiting he asks. The first one is friction, resistance, and debate. Friction be say things, two ideas, make them come rub each other. Let them come, this one go talk this one go talk this one. Then resistance, if government do wetin no suppose dey, people go say no, they go resist, they no go gree, we no go gree, we no go gree. Then they go debate, they go argue on top every matter wey go come to the public. Then protest and accountability. If the thing no reach, no gree, people will come out of the street or they will come and talk their opinion either on media protest, or they will even go offices and talk. Then and hold government to account anything will happen. Then the next one is what? Absence leads to quiet authoritarianism. So if people no do all these things, at the end of the day, the government will become too strong where nobody fit talk about what they do and they go dangerous proximity. This one now where we dey lead as Nigeria, we don dey get close, we don dey move very close, we don dey reach where we dey reach. Then dangerously close to authoritarianism. So now this one we don dey reach authoritarianism where the country don dey become say the government no fit answer questions, they dey do people anyhow, nobody fit stop them from wetin they wan do, and history will judge inaction. So the things wey we no gree do, where we suppose address this system, all this thing wey dey happen, as we no do am, history go judge us. So thank you. That's the article.
Okay, guys, we want to do this. People who have contributed positively to the Pan Africanist or African ideas, the snowballs among us, not the Napoleons. I think Masca wrote, did a presentation regarding this, and we want to share it with you. Hold on. Okay, I think I picked the wrong sharing tool. Hold on. Let's see. Share PDF slides. Let's see. Let's see. I'm coming. Where is download? Our heroes past, that's what it's called. We're gonna quickly go over it. I'm gonna be very fast about it. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Okay. Okay, our heroes past by Masca from Abuja. 24 lives that shaped the continental and diasporal African Black liberation struggles. Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. 24 lives that shaped continental and diaspora African Black liberation struggle. Quest for unity and pride from Gold Coast, Ghana to the Caribbean and the lecture halls battlefield. We have first Kwame Nkrumah. We did say he was a snowball, right? Well, in that analysis we did. He was born September 21, 1909, and died April 27, 1997. Ghana's first president and architect of modern Pan-Africanism, Nkrumah was a driving force behind African independence, and his vision of a united Africa shaped continental politics, and he championed economic self-reliance, anti-imperialism, and cultural pride. His legacy remains foundational to Africans' unity effort. Africans must unite. Marcus Garvey, born August 17, 1887 in St. Anne Bay, Jamaica, died June 10, 1940, London, United Kingdom. Garvey founded the UNNIA and ignited global movement for Black Pride and economic empowerment and African redemption. His Back to Africa philosophy inspired generation of liberation leaders across Africa and the diaspora, making him one of the most influential Black nationalists in history. A people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. W.E.B. Du Bois, United States, born February 23, 1868, Great Barrington, Massachusetts, USA. Died August 27, 1963 in Accra, Ghana. Co-founder of the NAACP, Du Bois shaped the early Pan-African Congresses and connected African-American struggles with global African liberation. His scholarship and activities laid intellectual foundations for racial equity, political independence, and cultural dignity across the African world. The quote, what we read at the bottom is their quote. The problem of the 28th century is the problem of the color line, by W.B. Du Bois. Number 4, Patrick Lumumba, Dr. Congo, born July 2, 1925 in Onalwa, Belgium, Congo. Died, I should have removed Belgium out of that. Onalwa, Congo. Died January 17, 1961 in Katanga, Democratic Republic of Congo. Congo first prime minister, became a symbol of uncompromising anti-colonial resistance. His powerful speeches and bold leadership challenged Western exploitation and demanded true African sovereignty, turning him into a martyr of African liberation. The only thing which we wanted for our country is the right to a worthy life, to dignity without pretense, to independence without restriction. This is a letter he wrote from Tykesville prison to Mrs. Lumumba. Before he was killed, he was brutally killed. His body was dissolved in acid, and a traitor was made the leader of Congo, who destroyed Congo for the next 30 or 40 years. Number 5, Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso, born December 25, 1949, Yako, Upper Volta, Burkina Faso. Died October 15, 1987 in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. Sankara championed self-reliance, women's rights, environmental protection, and anti-imperialism. His bold reform transformed Burkina Faso and inspired movements across Africa. His integrity and fearless leadership made him one of Africa's most beloved revolutionaries. He who feeds you controls you. Thomas Sankara. 6. Amilcar Cabral, Guinea-Bissau, Cape Verde. Born September 12, 1924. Batafa, Guinea-Bissau. Died January 20, 1973, Conakry, Guinea. A brilliant theorist and strategist, Cabral led liberation movements against the Portuguese colonialists. His writings on culture, identity, and revolutionary ethics influenced global anti-colonial struggles, making him a cornerstone of Pan-African revolutionary thought. Hide nothing from the masses of our people, tell no lies, mask no difficulties, claim no easy victory. Amilcar Cabral. 7. Cheikh Anta Diop, born December 20, Senegal. Born December 29, 1923, Tiotou, Senegal. Died February 7, 1986, Dakar, Senegal. Diop dedicated his life to reclaiming African ancient contributions to world civilization. His research challenged Eurocentric narratives and emphasized African cultural unity, reshaping African historiography and strengthening the intellectual foundation of Pan-Africanism. The history of Africa will restore dignity to the African people. Cheikh Anta Diop. Malcolm X, United States, born May 19, 1925, Omaha, Nebraska, USA. Died February 21, 1965, New York City, USA. Malcolm X connected African American struggles with African independence movement, advocating dignity, self-determination, and resistance to oppression. His internationalist vision made him a bridge between Africa and the diaspora. By any means necessary, Organization of American Unity meeting, 1964, Malcolm X, by any means necessary. Frank Fanon, Martinique, Algeria, born July 20, 1925, Fort de France, Martinique, died December 6, 1961, Bethesda, Maryland, USA. Fanon authored The Wretched of the Earth, a defining text of anti-colonial resistance. His analysis of violence, identity, and liberation shaped revolutionary movement across Africa through the Martinique. He fought for Algerian independence. I am black not because of a curse, but because my skin has been able to capture all the cosmic effluvia. Black Skin, White Marks, 1952, Frantz Fanon. Doesn't Frantz Fanon have another popular quote? A popular quote, Ibukun, you remember Frantz Fanon, popular about every generation must be trained.
Generation must be trained.
Or something about his destiny or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, we're moving on. Samora Machel, Mozambique, born September 27, 1933, Chileberne, Mozambique. Died October 19, 1986 in Buzini, South Africa. Leader of Frelimo and Mozambique first president. Machel fought Portuguese colonialists with determination and clarity of purpose. He championed socialism, unity, and African solidarity, reshaping Southern African liberation landscape. For the nation to live, the tribe must die. Samora Machel. Ahmed Ben Bella, Algeria. Born December 25, 1916, Magania, Algeria. Died April 11, 2012, Algiers, Algeria. Algerian first president, was a committed revolutionary who supported liberation movement across Africa. His role in the Algerian independence struggle made him a symbol of anti-imperialism and Pan-African activism. The French colonization of Algeria lasted a long time, 132 years. Ahmed Ben Bella. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nigeria. Born November 16, 1904 in Sujeru, Nigeria. Died May 11, 1996 in Enugu, Nigeria. Nigerian first president, promoted African unity and intellectual empowerment. His journalism and political activism shaped Nigerian independence movement and influenced regional cooperation and continental identity. His quote, "There is plenty of room at the top because very few people care to travel beyond the average route. So most of them seem satisfied to remain with the confines of mediocrity." My Odyssey and Autobiography, 1970. Robert Sobukwe, South Africa. Born March 15, 1924. Graf Reinet, South Africa. Died February 27, 1978, Kimberley, South Africa. Sobukwe founded the Pan-Africanist Congress and advocated uncompromising resistance to the apartheid regime. His moral clarity and intellectual strength made him a powerful symbol of liberation and justice. His quote, "I wish to make it clear again that we are anti-nobody. We are pro-Africa." Edward Wilmot Blinding, Liberia, Sierra Leone. Born August 3, 1832, St. Thomas, USA, Virgin Island. Died February 7, 1912, Sierra Leone. One of the earliest Pan-African philosophers, Blinding writing emphasized African cultural pride, racial dignity, and unity, laying the intellectual foundation for later Pan-African movement. Africa for the Africans. That was his quote, Edward Wilmot Blinding. Secretary, Guinea. Born January 9, 1922, Farana, Guinea. Died March 26, 1984, Cleveland, Ohio, USA. Guinea first president and was a fierce advocate of African independence and cultural revival. He rejected French colonial control and aligned Guinea with broader liberation struggle. His quote, we prefer poverty in freedom to riches in slavery." Thank you, Secretary. Walter Rodney, Guyana. Born March 23, 1942, Georgetown, Guyana. Died June 13, 1980, Georgetown, Guyana. Author of How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. Rodney exposed the economic roots of colonial exploitation. His activities connected Caribbean struggles with African liberation, making him one of the most influential voices in global Pan-African thought. His quote, "By what standard can we equate the violence of blacks who have been oppressed, suppressed, depressed, and repressed for 4 centuries with the violence of white fascists? Violence aimed at the recovery of human dignity and that the equality cannot be judged by the same yardstick by those that ruin maintenance of discrimination and oppression. Walter Rodney. Elijah Muhammad, United States, born October 7, 1897, Sandersville, Georgia, USA, died February 25, 1975, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Elijah Muhammad shaped Black consciousness through the teaching on self-determination, discipline, and economic empowerment. His influence extended globally, inspiring movement for Black pride and autonomy. The Negro wants to be, his quote, the Negro wants to be everything but himself. He wants to integrate with the white man, but he cannot integrate with himself or with his own kind. The Negro wants to lose his identity because he does not know his own identity. Elijah Muhammad. Jamal Abdul Nasser, Egypt. Born January 15, 1918, Alexandria, Egypt. Died September 28, 1970, Cairo, Egypt. Nasser championed anti-imperialism and co-founded the non-aligned movement. He supported African liberation struggles and promoted Arab-African solidarity, reshaping geopolitics across Africa and the Middle East. His quote, freedom is not something you get, it is something you take. Jamal Abdul Nasser. Stephen Biko, South Africa, that's my favorite. Born December 18, 1946, in Kings Williamstown, South Africa. Died September 12, 1977 in Pretoria, South Africa. Biko founded the Black Consciousness Movement, emphasizing psychological liberation and pride in African identity. His writings and activisms challenged apartheid dehumanization, and his martyrdom made him a symbol of courage. The most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. Stephen Biko, Stephen Bantu Biko. Agostinho Neto, Angola, born September 17, 1922, Icolo Ebelgo, Angola, died September 10, 1979, Moscow, Russia. Poet and revolutionary, Neto became Angola's first president after leading the struggle against Portuguese colonialism. His writings celebrated African identity while his leadership strengthened liberation movement across Southern Africa. Our contribution has to be given not only for the liquidation of the colonial system, but also for the liquidation of ignorance, disease, primitive forms of social organization. Agostinho Neto. Nelson Mandela, South Africa, born July 18, 1918, Umwenzo, South Africa, died December 5, 2013, Johannesburg, South Africa. Mandela symbolizes resilience, justice, and reconciliation. His decades of imprisonment and unwavering commitment to equality made him a global moral leader whose legacy transcends borders. Mandela's quote, "It always seems impossible until it's done," Nelson Mandela. Ahmed Cesare Martinique, born June 26, 1913, Base Point, Martinique, died April 17, 2008, Fort de France, Martinique. Cesar co-founded the Netri Good movement, celebrating Black identity and resisting colonial domination. His writings inspired African and Caribbean liberation leaders, making him a foundational figure in Black intellectual history. And if all I know to do is speak, it is for you that I shall speak. My lips shall speak for misery that have no mouth. My voice shall be liberty of those who languish in dungeons of despair. And above all, my body as well as my soul, beware of folding your arms in sterile attitude of spectator, for life is not a spectacle, for a sea of pain is not proscenium. Notebook of the Return Line, 1939. Aimé Cesare. Dedan Kimathi, Kenya, born October 13, 1920, Tetu Nyeri, Kenya, died February 18, 1957, Nairobi, Kenya. Commander of the Mau Mau uprising, Kimathi embodied militant resistance against British colonial rule. His courage and sacrifice made him one of Kenya's strongest symbols of freedom and African liberation. His quote, "My blood would water the tree of independence. spoken to his wife shortly before his execution in 1957. Robert Nesta Marley, Jamaica, born February 6, 1945, 9 Mile, Jamaica, died May 11, 1981 in Miami, Florida, USA. Marley used music as a global force for Pan-African unity, liberation, and spiritual awakening. His songs champion resistance, dignity, and African pride, making him one of the most influential cultural Pan-Africanists in history. His quote, "None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy. None of them can stop the time. Minds were made strong by the hands of the Almighty. And if I were in this generation." Robert Nesta Marley, thank you. The work continues across the continent and through generations yet to come. African people everywhere will continue to fight for dignity, self-determination, economic well-being, and history of our own telling. We have to tell these stories ourselves. We have to let our children know about our ancestors and those that have contributed to the well-being of our people. While we tell these, we have to also talk about those that are contributing negatively to the well-being of our people. I thank you all for watching that. Very, very inspiring and good. We'll go back now to the studio to ask for opinions of Ibukun and Abdullah. If any of our guests listening wants to make a comment or ask for the microphone, please let us know so that we can give you the mic. Ibukun and Abdullah, back to you guys.
Yeah, well, I find it interesting that Fela Anikulapo Kuti was not mentioned, or did I miss that? I think Fela Anikulapo Kuti should indeed make that list. What did you say?
Yes, I think that must have been an error. I will get back to the author, Masca, and let him know that the contribution of Fela Anikulapo Kuti needs to be added to this list, and it should be within the first 10, if not the first 5. I'm going to communicate this back to Masca. Masca, this was put together by Masca.
No, it must have been an oversight.
It's an oversight. It's definitely an oversight. And
Fela is a legend. Man.
He's a legend, yes. He did say the work continues. He hasn't finished the work yet.
Yes, yes. I think we have to give it to him.
We thank him also for allowing the Movement Radio to share this, because we believe that our children need to know about our heroes. They need to know about our people who have not failed us, people who have fought hard, both their sweat and blood for the struggle, so that we Black people can be considered human. And the struggle has not yet ended. It's still ongoing. Although we have enemies among us, the likes of Tinubu and all, Babangida, Obasanjo, and the rest. But we would one day drive all the clowns out of the palace. We will regain our land back, our country back, and we will be truly free. But we are on that march towards freedom. That's why we are moving. That's why we call ourselves movement. We are moving towards freedom. We are changing narratives. We are empowering minds. That is why we exist. We are walking towards liberation. If we get the time to make it there, we will make it there, by God's grace. Okay, guys, comments coming. Good point about Fela. I'll get back to him. I said the work continue, so that Fela will be added to that immediately. Any other person you think they missed
Mr.
out
Abdullahi?
on? Abdullahi.
Yes, I thought the work is good, but he might need to do some more work, because there are some people, I think, across Africa that their name did not fit in the, it did not included. But there is no work that I say that will be 100% efficient. So as time goes on, even if he continue digging deep, he might see so many individuals across Africa, not only in Nigeria, that have contributed in one way or the other. Because I can still think it's just some names that skip my mind that I didn't see him mentioning within Cote d'Ivoire, and I think just within this, even also Sudan, there is an individual. Maybe I will check the names, but he tried. Putting 24, I think, is something what many of people don't even know. This 24 people, they only know the current leadership, and they only know them and their mess. But there is one thing that I enjoy across on this 24 list that you mentioned. Almost all of them have so many things in common, because all that bind them together is what they are moving not for their own interests, but for the interest of the entire Africa. Because if you look at them, all of them, none of them is fighting for only a single nation, but fighting for the entire African liberation. So that's why I think that bring them together. That shows that yes, they are pro-human, not their own. They are not like the people that we have today. And then all of them, if you look at it, after their life, they did not live to like fortune of wealth. They only live what people with sense of humor, with liberation, like something that will liberate their mind. And all they do is try to educate, inform, and enlighten the people to know their worth, not just to surrender, but and some of them lost their life. That's why they are worth celebrating, and people need to know more about them. People should pick each and every one of them and go and read about them and know. Like that of Kenya, I read extensively about the individual. He was not as educated as many will think, that you have to be educated or you have to be this to go and to liberate your people. But he started like someone that many people call like a bandit, or they will say he's like a militant that stand up and started fighting, because that's the name they gave him, because they called him with a lot of names then. But at the end of the day, his works help in what liberate, at least getting the independence of Kenya. To them, because even the Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana, when he was was moving towards, then even all of them, if you look at it, around them are people that were done. So Africa has great people, and then I think the young people, we have to learn from this. We have to know that we always remember people that contribute positively. So you, me, and any other person that is listening, that will come and listen to us, even in the repeat broadcast, should ask himself or herself, what are you contributing today? What will history remember you for? Is it for positivity or for negativity? And the ruiners of today, are you trying to copy the ruiners of today or the leaders of yesterday? So that's my questions to all the people. So thank you.
Thank you, Abdullah. They have all worked very hard for the dignity of the black man. That is what unites them all together, the dignity of the black man. The struggle is still ongoing. The struggle continues.
And I also want to add that how many of our people today, if you walk up to any Africa, like a Nigerian, for instance, or a Kenyan or a South African, how many of our people recognizes all of these people? And I'm going to do that experiment. I'm going to carry out that social
social experiment. That's a very good thing.
Yes,
You go onto the
I'll
street,
take
you
their
have
pictures.
their name, picture their name, and ask people, particularly our young generation, we don't know our history. And this needs, we need to, that's why we teach things like this here. Enlightening the mind is important, very important.
And many of them would, they would not see these as saviors,
No,
and I really find that very, very interesting, that we see foreign entities as saviors than our ancestors, these great ancestors,
Yeah, it's because we have been miseducated. Don't blame us too much. Anyway, we got more things to show you. I want to talk about this cultural icon called Kokoro. I got 2 videos of him we want to show. And then we got one more article. If those in the studio are not too tired and those listening to us, because we've been on for almost 3 hours now. But
my laptop is about to shut down from here.
Okay, you have to charge it and then join us. But I want to
Yeah,
put it in prayer.
I'm seeing the matrix, Nigerian matrix. There's no light.
Okay, yeah. Damn. Okay, we got to do Kokoro, and then that last article title. Let me see the. Like we're gonna do that article real fast. If we lose the book, that would affect the speed in which we are able. The hypocrites of power. It's not long, just about a page. The hypocrites of power. You understand? If we can do that, that would be nice. But let's get this thing about Kokoro. I'm not sure whether the book we read when we were growing up, called The Drummer Boy, was based on this man's story called Kokoro. I got 2 videos on him, but I've seen him on the streets of Lagos, in Lagos Island, on Odunfa, on Okepopo, on Tinubu Square, Tafawa Balewa Square, playing that drum, the blind man called Kokoro. I'll get his full name now. And he's an icon. Nigerian doesn't honor people pretty well, but he's a man that a lot of people know in Lagos back then. Let's watch the video and then we'll take it from there. Okay. Okay.
If you go down to Kumbo Street, or along to Tinubu bus stop, or to the railway station at Ido, or perhaps to Alakija at Idioro, you'll probably find him, Kokoro, the blind minstrel. Kokoro, the young man from Awo, who has made for himself a home and a livelihood in the heart city of Lagos. Lagos, where a man among his fellow men can be all on his own. Most times, that is how it has been for Kokoro. Some people see a blind man as someone you help. Others merely see him as a man easier to rob. 5 times, Kokoro has lost his life savings that Kokoro has never seen Lagos. When he first arrived in 47, he was already blind. But he knows the city as well as any man. He knows the feel of it like he knows the feel of the taut skin of its sandbag. That is why he can always stop them, even the ones who are always running in that rage to live, because he can feel the pulse of the city. Sometimes he will sing about it, and sometimes he will sing about himself and his adventures. Sometimes it will just be about life in general, how it is. But usually, he doesn't sing about anything. He just makes music, always his own kind of music. The music of the city, alive, excited, sometimes wild and frenetic, at other times humorous and gentle. Nobody taught Kokoro how to play. Nobody could have taught him, for his music is all his own. His training was in the backyard and the street, starting on an old kerosene tin. But, essentially a street singer, his talent has not gone unnoticed. Decca signed him up for a couple of discs some time ago, and he is now no stranger to the NBC.
mo fi sílẹ̀ jọ́lé ìtẹ́lẹ̀ mo fi lọ́kẹ́ta ọmọ mi bèrè wọ́ mo fi sílẹ̀ òtòlí ẹ̀rá mo fi ní gíga mi lò màmá mo fi bèrè ìbárọ̀kọ.
Eré ẹ̀ dáa gan ni, iṣẹ́.
Eléyìí yóò tóbi gan, mo gbádùn eléyìí gan tó yẹ. Àáfà mi gan o tó yẹ. Àgbàdá àti ní ìdú.
Usually, Kokoro makes his way around Lagos on his own. But when there is an important engagement, he'll sometimes take his brother-in-law along, who now acts as his manager. Kokoro has come a long way from when he was a young boy away up in Owo. He was not blind then. In fact, he was one of the most advanced pupils in his class. So advanced that the other wife of his father became jealous of the gifted boy. And one day, she prepared a mixture of alligator pepper and lime juice. While he was sleeping, she lifted up the lids of his eyes and splashed in the liquid. For 3 days, he was in agony. And after that, he never saw again. Blind, he found himself a burden to his family. But the young Kokoro was not the sort of boy who could accept this. And so it was that then he learned how to make music. When he became proficient enough, he started to travel. First to Elisha, and then to Osogbo, and later on to Ede. At Ibadan, he stayed for 4 years, earning his living by his music, until finally he came to the city of Lagos. Although life has been hard for Kokoro, there is no bitterness in him. He's a man full of laughter, enjoys companionship, and loves to have children around. Someday soon, he hopes to marry and then have kids of his own. And he swears that by the grace of God and his own hard-earned craft, he'll see to it that, for them, it's a different story.
He was not a beggar. The fact that he was blind did not make him a beggar, but he knows every corner of Lagos, from Mushi to and he walks around by himself, plays his music. A lot of people know him. I saw him while I was growing up. Yes, another
Benjamin Kokoro has been a major influence in West African music. He is a blind beggar.
Correction, he's not a beggar, he's a musician.
Benjamin Kokoro has been a major influence in West African music. He is a blind beggar. Benjamin Kokoro has been a major influence in West African music. Kokoro's aims remain those of his wandering predecessors.
I am not a recording artist, though I did once make a record. My aim is to sing directly to people in the streets and give the message of my songs to them face to face. I sing about my society and update old-time stories. I sing people's praises, and if I make them happy, they give me a few pennies. My life is simple. I'm a minstrel, a beggar.
Kokoro's unique style of song and percussion have been highly influential with commercial musicians who heard his music on the streets.
I don't care about what others do. The right place for my music is here with poor people on the streets of Lagos.
Hori Orimade, Dolo, Orimade, Orimade, Dolibo, Orimade, Orimade, Gole, Orimade, Orimade, Dolibo, Orimade, Mokitilo, Akoko, Orimade, Mokitere, you say not Orimade, Umayo, Dolo, Orimade, Mokitilo, Sona, Orimade.
Other styles of urban music, though influenced by Kokoro, have found a very different place.
So that's an old clip of Benjamin Ade. Let me make sure you guys can hear me first. Yep, you can hear me. That's an old clip of Benjamin Aderomu, popularly known as Kokoro, born February 25, 1925, and he died January 25, 2009. This legendary blind Lagos street musician and an early pioneer of juju music. He was born into a royal family in Owo, Ondo State. Kokoro became blind at the age of 10. He developed a unique style of singing, first accompanied by a drum and later a tambourine. He moved to Lagos in 1947, where he came into contact with major musicians including Ayinde Bakare, Bobby Benson, and Victor Olaiya in the 60s and the 70s. He regularly featured on federal and local radio stations and became widely respected for the depth and wisdom of his lyric. Singing in Yoruba, Kokoro's songs explored love, money, conflict, and urban life, and he went on to influence other musicians. His life also inspired The Drummer Boy, a novel for adolescents by Nigerian author Cyprian Ekwensi. Kokoro died in a Lagos hospital on January 25, 2009, 1 month before his 84th birthday. Kokoro is not a beggar, as that Olodo generation person stated. He was blind. He did perform on the street and people gave him money. So there's a huge point of correction there. He was not a beggar, but he was blind, sings on the streets of Lagos and people give him money, to appreciate his music. I suspect this could be the story in the novel, The Drummer Boy. We read The Drummer Boy when we were in school, elementary school back in Nigeria in those days, talking 40, 50 years ago. And I had the opportunity to also see him perform on the street. So that's Benjamin Aderomi Kokoro. That's what we bring you on our cultural presentation for today. We're going to move on to the next one. Any comment from the studio? Abdullahi and Ibukun's lost energy there. Abdullahi, any comment before we move on?
Yes, I think he represents the true African culture because the natural tune and the synchrony of his music, the tune itself depicts a lot of the beauty in the African music, and it actually communicates a lot of things. When for people that understand music, when you look at the way he beat the drum and the end, like even from you see the passion, you see the emotion that is attached to what he is doing. So that is actually telling you that look, he's doing this with passion. He's not just doing it for the money. He's not doing it but for what? As he find like peace, he find love, and he connects to the real ancestral meaning or connection of the music, because music has a lot of things and it has the spirit. When you connect to spirit of music, you will understand that music is not just words, but it's something that is very deep in connection, and it tells you a lot of stories. That's why sometimes for people that read deep about music, music heals. It heals a lot of people. Not all, it heals the mind, the brain, and sometimes even some sickness. When you listen to music, you will feel some kind of relief. So that's why I think he has not been said more about, like he has not been talked more about, because with what he's doing and the nature of his music, I think he has been sure people need to know more about him, and at least it will encourage a lot of people. This move will motivate a lot of people who might be visually empowered and then may feel like, oh no, we have lost it. But his story is something that will, maybe we still have to bring back that drummer boy, and then maybe try to see the relationship between him and the story. Then maybe it's true that it's him that is looked upon, then the story
Yeah.
was written.
Yeah, one of these days we're going to
And
bring
then
back that novel, The Drummer Boy, and then we will try to read it here. It's a story. He was not a beggar. He walked the whole. He walked by himself. Knows the whole streets of Lagos. He knows the corner. Um, as an elderly, the first video by Soyinka was in the 60s, 1960. Then the second video probably in the 70s or 80s. That by then you can see that he now has wives and his children with him. The first one, he was saying he was hoping that one day he would be married. These are heroes that country doesn't honor. These are the stories of our people. Nobody's going to tell our story. We got to tell it ourselves, of the people. People like Kokoro, Benjamin Aderomi, they were very inspiring. My grandmother used to talk about him. It just brings back nostalgia to have such kind of stories. Anyway, can we still do one more article? Bookin's not here to help us. Would we be able to make it? Or should we start rounding
yes,
up? It's up to you, Abdullahi, whatever your call.
let's just do
The last
the
article
break
for
so
the
that
day,
we
of
know
course.
we have less
Okay,
work for tomorrow.
tomorrow. Okay, that's good. Okay, let me share and close this one. Okay. And we lost the audio X because the lack of power from Nigeria. Boko lost that one. That's not good, but it's okay. So I'm going to read very fast, and then when you do the summary also, you're going to be pretty fast about it, so we can just round up. You understand?
Yes, no problem.
Yeah, I'm going to be real fast. I think it's similar to the first one. I think the last one was talking about the people, and this one probably focusing on the leaders, right? The first one we did. I'm not sure, but I'll
Yes,
read
the
it real
first
fast.
one is
About the people, right? Not,
yes.
Okay. The hypocrites of power when loyalty to government becomes contempt for victims, by Sadiya Adebisi Hassan. There is a special class of Nigerians more dangerous than open apologies for terror. Wow. They wear the badge of progressivism. They parade as enlightened, strategic, sophisticated. In reality, they are moral contortionists. People whose only ideology is proximity to power. For months, these same voices did three things with reckless consistency: mock Donald Trump, ridicule Christians crying about killings, and deny the existence of targeted violence, calling it propaganda, hysteria, or low IQ lamentation. When the US expanded visa ban and suspended green cards, they cheered. When victims spoke, they sneered. When Christians cried, they joked, Nigerian force. When you're crying, your eye is open. Low IQ, missionaries preparing invasion. Noise on Christian genocide has died down. That was their language. That was their character on display. Then the bombs dropped and the marks slipped. The moment US strikes hit ISIS hideout in Sokoto and Kwara, something remarkable happened. The mockery stopped. The sarcasm vanished. The jokes evaporated. Suddenly, the same people who spent months insulting Trump and Christian found a new voice. Now it's US-Nigeria collaboration. Now it was intelligence sharing. Now it was strategic partnership. No apology, no reflection, no shame, just a sudden ideological U-turn, executed with the grace of people people who believe memory does not exist. This is not evolution. This is hypocrisy. You cannot spend months downplaying terror. It looks like this guy is describing the APC people here. Right, Abdullahi? I don't know. I didn't read this.
Yes.
Because they're the ones who do this. Downplaying terror, mocking victims, insulting foreign allies, dismissing cries of Jenna, and then overnight take credit for the same action, you ridicule. This is not patriotism. That is not strategy. That is moral bankruptcy. The most disgusting part, kicking the victim, what makes this hypocrisy unforgivable. It is not just a flip-flop. It is who they targeted. They didn't insult terrorists. They insulted the victims. They told grieving communities, you are exaggerating. You are being used. You're lying. Your pain is politics. They laughed while people buried their dead. Then when force was finally applied to the very terrorists they denied existed, they rushed to sanitize themselves. You do not get to rewrite history that easily. Anti-people are pro-power. These people are not defenders of the state. They are defenders of optics. They will support anything, absolutely anything, so long as it makes the presidency look good. Shield power from criticism, invalidate citizens' pain, even if it means gaslighting victims, normalizing terror, mocking faith, abandoning basic decency. They are worse than open defenders of criminals, because at least criminal defenders are honest about where they stand. These ones hide behind slogans while standing on the necks of ordinary Nigerians. You have no moral high ground. Let it be said clearly without apology. You have no justification to mock those who defend terrorists when you defended denial, defended silence, defended mock, defended indifference. You are birds of the same feather. One side just wear better grammar. History does not forget flip-floppers. In serious country, public intellectuals are judged by consistency under pressure. France terror sympathizers were isolated. UK denialists were exposed. Israel security debate is brutal but honest. Indian hypocrisy on terror is politically fatal. Only in Nigeria do people believe shouting government force absorb cruelty. It doesn't. You insulted Trump when he spoke. You mocked Christians when they cried. You cheered visa ban when Nigerians suffered. You denied terror when blood was still wet. Now bombs fall and you clap from the sideline, pretending you were always on the right side of history. You're not. You're not progressive. You're not patriotic. You're not strategic. You're directionless defenders of power. And Nigeria will pay a price for surrounding leadership with people who fear the truth more than terror. History is watching, and this time the screenshots are permanent. Bola Tinubu, beware those whose loyalty bends with convenience. They serve optics, not the people, and their cancer costs the nation dearly. Well, I think this is talking about Agbadorian. I don't even know if we should do the pidgin version. What do you think?
Yes, I think because the message is very clear, and then he point out directly to the people that is addressing.
What I think it has addressed them directly. We don't need to do. What do you think? Let me ask you first. What do you think? Should we do this? I don't think we should though.
I think let's just give it a small rundown.
Okay, just give it a small rundown. Yeah.
Yes.
Because this is talking about all these
APC
APC apologies on Twitter. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to move it a little bit to the side. Is it working?
Okay, hypocrites of power in Nigeria.
Yeah, hypocrites of power in Nigeria. Let's go. Let's do it fast. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, they call themselves progressive. Is that not what APC call itself? I don't even know what's progressive
yes,
about
all
that
progressive, all progressive Congress.
I don't know what's progressive about them.
People, this one, we are just talking about people that are saying something different and they are acting different. That's what they are called hypocrites. And they call themselves progressive, people where they progress. But in the real sense, they are what? They are not progressive. They wear badges of progressivism. So anytime they carry things where they talk, say they are all progressive. but they are not. That's what this is saying, and they parade as enlightened and strategic. They say that people now them people wey sabi wey know, they are well aware and they sabi how to do things. And moral control, not
Contortionist.
contortionist. Yes, contortionist proximity to power. All they think say they are people with morality, and all they want at the end of the day, they just want to get close to power. Make them just grab the power, let them do what they want to do with am. Then their past action, that's the thing where they don't do before. Their actions, so they mock Donald Trump. They use American president do talk wetin they want talk, and then they ridicule Christian victims. They talk about Christian brothers wey they don't kill and all these things, and they talk and say they look at say no be something wey don happen, wey no be serious thing. They just dey talk anyhow. They cause confusion. Then deny targeted violence. So they call that one, they call it what, propaganda, and what violence, they call am say na propaganda, and hysteria, mass hysteria. That's people just dey comot, they wan dey cause problem, but no be say na real violence. And they have low IQ on lamentation. Their brain no dey function well. They just anytime wey people talk about it, they will say, na people just dey complain on top things wey no suppose dey.
I just jumped a
Then
little
they
bit.
okay, so not evolution but hypocrisy. So no be say they dey evolve, no be say they dey progress, no be say they dey develop, but they are just hypocrites. They know no be wetin they dey talk, no be wetin they dey do. They dey talk say they be progressive, but they dey downplay terrorism. People wey dey kill anyhow, they dey downplay their matter. People then they talk say people they no kill the numbers, they reduce am, and they know they allow media to report the actual thing wey dey happen. They are mocking victims instead of making help big victims get justice. They know they help them, they mock them, they use them play. They go say government no pay money, government this thing happen, this thing. Then they insult allies and the dismissing crisis. They difference people wey dey whether e happen e no happen, as far as e no touch me now. So it's a warning, make dem better start serving the people. Then counsel costs the nation daily. There are things, the way wey they dey behave, the extravagant life, the way they dey live for other people, they dey carry the money go somewhere, is what is destroying the country. It's costing the nation very high amount of money. So they should be what? They should be cautious. They are destroying the country. Their actions and the inactions is destroying the country. Then fear truth more than terror. When the truth come out, that time they should fear when the truth go come out, because it's more than terror. Because they say the truth is bitter and very powerful. So the leaders
Okay,
should know when the truth comes out.
thank you so much,
They will,
Abdullahi. Let's. I think we've been out here for almost almost 3.5 hours. So let's start rounding up. Let's thank our people on all the platform and give a quick shout out to them, and then I'll give you the microphone. You say the final goodbye, and we're out of here. This is the Movement Radio. We want to thank you for spending your time with us this Saturday. To join us wherever you may be in any parts of the world. We thank you for joining us. If you're on Facebook, joining us on Facebook, we say thank you to you. I can't see the names of the list of the people, but we are saying thank you. And if you're on YouTube, on our 2 YouTube pages, we're saying thank you for joining us. We can always watch this back. If you join us in the middle, it's recorded. And if you're on Twitch, we say thank you. On X, we are saying thank you. We lost our audio X page when we lost Ibukun, but it's all good. We can still always watch the video. You always feel free to join, participate. I want to thank those that are on Instagram. Well, those are the only Instagram and TikTok are the the list that I can see. So I want to thank Dubusin, Ayola Fasa, Kike Lomo, Sofe Korete, Kukwami Ejini, Kaka Creations, Isifu Yegangri. And then I'm going to thank a few people on TikTok as we round up. We thank you all for joining us. Tomorrow we're going to have another program for you to be part of. Please join us tomorrow also. For those of you on TikTok, the list is always too long on TikTok, so calling out names is always difficult to do. But we thank you for joining us on TikTok. I can the names used are Luis, quite a long list. I can't call out names on TikTok today, sorry. And we're running out of time. So I'm going to hand over the microphone back to Abdullah to say the final goodbye, and then we're going to end this stream. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, each and every one of you across all the social media platforms, be it TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and X visual. I'm sorry for those that are in our X audio. We lost one of our correspondents in Lagos. That's why we lost that. But tomorrow is another day where we'll have another great show. So thank you for your resilience. Thank you for your always coming. We look forward as we keep growing, as we keep inviting, as we keep sharing, as we keep liking. We'll keep expanding, and then we'll look forward for your own opinion, your comments, your likes, and everything. This is a Nigerian project where we will all join our hands and do it together. So let's see you tomorrow. I remain Abdullah Salisu Aliyu, Movement Radio Abuja. See you tomorrow. Thank you. While we await our Chicago Movement Radio. So we'll see you tomorrow, same time
See you all tomorrow.
on the
Thank you all
Movement
very
Radio.
much.
All right. Have you ever wondered, what's my purpose? Like,